Bam. That should be good. I hope I didn't just blow your eardrums off there. What's going on, everybody? Scared me.
Your own voice scared you?
Yeah. I can't imagine what everyone else must feel like. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome. We see Michael. We see Michael in the chat here. Marietta, welcome everybody. I'm just finishing up posting our updates to all the social media and Twitter. I think I missed Twitter as what. Give me 1 second here. So it hey Stacy, how you doing? Hey Dizzy Lizzie. Love it. So we got some awesome news to share with you guys. So we were finally able to interview the what would you call that
their survivor of Rodney Alcala, which
Yeah.
was the dating game killer.
Why is my hair all messed
They've
up?
never done an interview with anybody ever
Yeah.
about it. But he was notorious in Southern California in the 70s. And he's not super well known.
Which is strange because
I
he
don't know
was
why.
gnarly. He was insane. Here, I'll share the screen here.
Yeah, he would. So one thing just to mention, because we have a video coming out doing a rundown, and then the interview is going to drop after that. Just a quick thing is he would hunt young girls anywhere from ages 8 to like 25, general age range, and he offered to take pictures of them. Ask them to come back to his apartment to take pictures, and he would assault them, essay them, bite, strangle, and then let them pass out, and then do it again and again until he ended them.
Yeah.
It's pretty horrific. And sadly, that day when the survivor who was almost abducted by him survived and escaped, but the other little girl that was abducted that day by him did not.
Yeah.
Because there was another little girl that day.
Yeah. And so from everything that we can tell, which is incredible, so Rodney Alcala went and he was trying to abduct this one little girl that was 13 years old, and he had a failed attempt. People around there
12.
Or 12 people around there noticed him and were like, what is this guy doing? What is going on here? And basically shoot him away, get the heck out of here.
It was her friend. It was her friend.
Well, it was also an adult too. There's an adult eyewitness account talking about it, and I think the adult is what scared them off. But he left, and from all accounts, he left and then found this other person, almost like there was some kind of built-up desire there that he just couldn't let go, and he was looking for any potential victim to end, you know what I mean? To fulfill his serial killer tendencies and desires.
Yep.
And it was a failed attempt here. So he went back to his original victim that he was planning on taking and succeeded. And it is just such a wild story talking to somebody who was like, that's a hair between life and death. A hair between life and death.
And in one of the most imaginable ways,
Yeah,
one of the worst deaths that I could imagine. It's really, really sad. And, she was only a year older than the victim. She was 13, and the other victim was 12, who passed away. So,
and looked just like his MO too, because one of the one of the things, because we're skeptics, right? I feel like you guys understand that almost everything we look at, our goal is to look at it from a skeptical point of view, and that's how you find out if it's verifiable, real, and worthwhile information. So when I heard the story, the first thing I thought is, okay, maybe this is just coincidental, right? Maybe something weird happened to this girl where she felt like she something strange was going on, and then she connected the two. But what's interesting is she actually didn't connect the two,
No.
and had no idea for 30 years that this had happened until later saw the car, and the man was like, oh, that dude tried taking me. This one situation I had that I've carried with me forever, that was him. So crazy situation. We just got it recorded. They were able to come in the studio, and we got everything all recorded. Now we just got to edit and get it all broken down. But yeah, Rodney Alcala, you guys, if you guys haven't looked into him, he is horrible. He is right up there close with Ted Bundy. I feel like the only reason he doesn't have the same kind of notoriety or body count as Ted Bundy is, one, he got caught quicker than what I would assume Ted Bundy, or what Ted Bundy did, and his case was not the first case presented nationally on a national level. That, I think that's the big thing that makes Ted Bundy so desirable in the eyes of serial killers. So
yeah, well, I don't know, man, because I'm pretty sure it was almost a decade of this guy doing these things, getting caught, and then getting like either going to jail for only like a couple of years or getting it thrown out. It just happened over and over and over.
Yeah.
So he didn't escape the way Ted Bundy did, but he would get out of the charges, or, get lessened charges like constantly. It seemed like when I was looking into it and reading about it. But also he went on a dating show, which is The Dating Game, and he had a similar charm in that show, and it's really eerie, like as Ted Bundy, and it's eerie to watch now because they ask him questions like, what's your favorite time of day? And he's like, the night. Like, the creepiest answer you could give.
I'll probably cut that in there, but okay. Looking at it from a skeptical point of view, if someone asks me that, that's my answer too.
Mine too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, mine too.
So,
but I mean, it's eerie to look at back on now, knowing who he is, knowing what he did, knowing that he already had multiple victims under his belt at that point.
Yeah.
And that girl that, chose him ended up backstage being like, nah, I don't want anything to do with this guy. I'm not going on a date with him. Get away from me.
That probably saved her life, man. Probably saved her life. But yeah, absolutely. And we'll go through the welcomes here, everyone. Do you want to give everyone a shout out that has been typing in here? We're glad that everyone is here.
Yeah. Hi, Stacy. Oh, I think you already said hi to Stacy. You're awake. Yeah, us too. Hi, Dizzy Lizzie. Hey, Jennifer. Marietta, no, not pregnant. What?
No, they're talking about me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is pregnant.
I am.
Hi, CH. Hey, Dara. Jennifer. Didn't he stay at the hotel where that girl was found in a water container on the roof? I forget her name. Oh, the Asian girl that has the weird video in the elevator. Is that what you're talking about? I don't know if he stayed in that hotel. What's it called again?
I think he
in
did.
LA. What is that hotel called again?
I don't remember right now. It's a really famous hotel, but a lot of people have stayed there. A lot of actors and actresses have stayed there. It is notoriously like a haunted, spooky hotel. And the reason why it's a haunted and spooky hotel is because the amount of bodies that have walked in there alive and walked out in a bag, There's a lot. There
are. Hey, Venera. Hi, Ontario Sound, or Ontario Sound.
Ontario.
What did I say?
Ontario. Are you Ontario, Canada, or Ontario, California?
Ontario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ontario.
Sorry. But we appreciate that. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Casey. Hey, Ann. No worries.
Yeah, I hope it was a good live. Sunday, the weekends, man, I swear, so many content creators come out with really good stuff on the weekends, and I can't watch on the weekends. It's either get my editing done or
Yeah.
binge creators, you know, and unfortunately, Canada, all right. Unfortunately, if I don't get the editing done, I won't get it done. You know, it'll be a situation that I've been having to deal with for the last couple weeks, and I can't do that because I can't respond to emails. Hey, if you're somebody that has emailed us in the last week and a half, I promise they are in there and they are unread, and I will get back to you. I promise I will get back to you. We did a shorter version podcast this weekend so that I can get caught up. Plus we had some other stuff going on. We had some other stuff going on where we needed to do a shorter one. And hopefully that's going to help me get caught up, and then I'm going to be able to respond, because I know we have some content creators that have reached out to us that want to do some collab or a live, go over some stuff. And we are interested 100%. So don't take my delayed answer as me not interested. I absolutely, even if we aren't interested, if you're a content creator and you're watching us, and we are not interested in doing something together because it doesn't fit our business model idea, whatever, right? I will always respond. Always. Yeah. I will not just leave people hanging. So just keep that in mind. And I apologize if you're one of the people that I haven't responded to.
Amanda and Mark and Betty were telling us it's a Cecil.
Yes.
Cecil Hotel.
Isn't it Cecile, or I don't know.
It's Cecil.
Okay.
Okay, Rums. See you in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have to check her live out later.
Yeah.
Night Stalker stayed there. I thought it's completely live. I'm confused on editing. Oh, no, this is live. Now, the other
green background.
Yeah, with the green background. That is the Thought Riot podcast, and that is pre-recorded. That's never live. But this right here, this is live.
Yeah, Bonnie. So it's just simple green background, the grass background. Well, Bon left a comment saying that she prefers Bonnie. So
okay.
Yep. So green background, not live. Blue and red background, live. But yeah, welcome everybody. We are super. Yeah, I'll put that link up. Thank you for reminding me. I am actually really bad about doing that. So I am super stoked that you reminded me to do that. It's one of my issues putting up our links. I need to put all the links in one note so I can just link them all, you know?
Yeah.
That's what you were saying last time.
Glad you could catch us live too, John. Chelsea Hotel? Wait, now I'm confused. I gotta look it up.
Wait, isn't the Chelsea New York? Chelsea? I think the Chelsea's New York, right? I could be wrong, man. I'm not up on my hotel names. I'm not up on my names. Let's be real here. I can barely keep my own name straight. I'm
pretty sure it's the Cecil in LA and the Chelsea in New York.
Okay.
Yes, the Chelsea is in New York.
Okay.
But you know what? Rodney Alcala also lived in New York and studied under Roman Polanski.
Yeah. I think that is crazy.
It is wild.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
All right. So let's get that posted for everybody here. Give me 1 second, and then we will knock out the intro. Invite, view, share your... Okay. Bam. There we go.
Gosh.
All right. So that is the member link that you guys are seeing posted there. Another one that I would like to get on your radar here, because it is the one link that we have the least amount of activity on. It's our Twitter, because everything, all of our social media is /Thought Riot Podcast, except for Twitter, because it doesn't allow that many characters. So on Twitter, we are this link here, twitter.com/Thought Riot Pod, Thought Riot Pod. And we post everything everywhere. So yeah. Hey, Ian, yes, prisoner of the chat. Everyone spam prisoner.
Reporting for duty.
I mean, you didn't really have a choice. Let's be real here.
Yeah, he stays in the chat 24 hours a day.
Yep. All right, so give everybody the rundown. We are doing a recap episode today. There has been so much that has come out, and last week was kind of hectic. On Wednesday, we went on Drunk Turkey. The next day, we had a premiere straight into a live. Next day, we had a premiere straight into a live, and there has been some crazy updates that have come out surrounding Delphi, Idaho 4, Gilgo, and we want to talk about all of them. Now, the only thing that I want to give you a heads up on is with the Gilgo topic, we are probably going to release that video. Maybe we'll decide to release it after this, or we'll do it tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out between now and tomorrow's live, but we'll either do a premiere on Gilgo and then straight into a live tomorrow, but we'll still talk on it today because there is so much information coming out about it. And, we have the Idaho 4, which could be considered a mass murder based on that. Where the cutoff is 3, right? So anything more than 3 is considered mass. We have Delphi, which has the 2 little girls. So those are some. I would say a serial killer is more rare than those 2 types of crimes, right? Those 2 are getting so much attention right now. But if I could say, I'm not confident that we for 100% sure have the right guys in either of those crimes. But when it comes to Gilgo, I am I can't be 100. I just don't work like that. But I am like 98% sure that we have the right guy in Gilgo. And we have so much more information coming out. There is a very good possibility that we have wife involvement. And what's interesting is when we first heard that story break, I was like, oh, we should be careful throwing shade at the wife, which I still feel that way. I do. But until we start seeing information like we have now about the wife, then I say, look, everybody put their red flags up. Somebody needs to dig in. Somebody needs to put their heels in the sand, grab it and hang on and start digging, because there are some weird situations. There are some weird occurrences, and there are some weird coincidences going on there. And we want to talk about all of it. And we are going to talk about all of it. We're going to pick one topic. And we're going to take it on from there. But make sure you guys do all the podcast things. We are on everything. So wham, bam. Here we go. We have Thought Riot Podcast. We are on everything. If it is a podcast provider, we are on it. We have set up every account with every podcast platform out there, all the major ones. I think 80% of our viewers, which we're in the hundreds, we're getting thousands of views now between both of these on Apple. I think 80% of our viewers are on Apple. So all of our Apple listeners, what's going on, guys? We appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you hit those 5 stars. Make sure you leave a comment. That helps us go a very long way when it comes to the Apple platform. Now, obviously, as we're looking at here, we are also on Spotify. And again, any rating and comments helps us go a very long way. We are on Amazon. We are on Google. We're on Pocket Cast, Castbox, all of them. So many of them, I can't even name them all. But for all of you that have been following us for a while, we now have added another one, the True Crime Talk Show, which is what we're on right now. So we appreciate all of you for being here. And again, all the same platforms. We're on everything. We are on absolutely everything. And we are recording right now, which will go up, and it can be re-listened to, rewatched, and commented on there, and followed, and everything in between. So if you have some time, help us out and check us out on there and leave us a rating and some comments. We would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Bonbon,
I need a rant button.
I'm gonna try to post another link and see if it works. I'm curious if it's not working because you're on iPhone, as you said, and maybe because I'm sending you like a browser link, it's not working right, which would be really silly. But I'll try posting it again just in case there was an error, and let us know if that works. She's trying to rejoin as a member, and when she clicked the link you posted, it didn't take her anywhere.
Oh, strange.
Hi, Madison.
Very strange. Yeah, here, I'll highlight Amanda's text here. Thank you, Amanda. There should be a $sign button next to the emoji button. Is it there on iPhone? Yes, I believe it is there on iPhone. Let me see. iPhone.
Or when you, if you're on an iPhone and you have, when you have the live chat up, it covers all of the details, like the subscribe button and all of that. You should have in place of the subscribe button, a join button. Is there no join button?
When it takes you to the home page?
There should be a join button somewhere. In place of the subscribe button. So after you subscribe, then a join button should be there after that.
I feel like YouTube should make their program be able to give a targeted membership, because I would just be like, you know what, bop, here you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
and get that membership going. Oh, good call, Kimmy. Check for an app update too, because that can change things as well. So yes, absolutely. So we will dig right into it here. Where is my... I feel like we need to make our background the thumb is what we need to do. I need to figure out how to make the background our thumb. All right. We're going to leave it up to you guys. What should we talk about first? Should we dive into the Idaho 4 updates and remember, you guys, we have videos coming out about these topics as well that we just talked about. You know what? We'll just start left to right. We'll dig into Idaho 4 first. What are you doing? Trying to figure it out?
Yeah. So you know what I found out?
What
is my personal YouTube account, I have 2 accounts I can view YouTube on through that account. That are the same. They're the same account, but they're separate, like, viewing accounts for YouTube. Which I think that's what's happening with the brand accounts. I think maybe at some point I accidentally hit something and made a brand account, and then the other one's like the private one.
Interesting. I don't know.
So I think that's what's going on. So I would suggest, if you have these 2 viewing accounts attached to the same Google account for YouTube, then try switching to the other one and see if that works. But Bonnie has been a member all this time. So
Yep.
It took me to like a Google and I signed up. That's really strange. Yeah, I shared the link again, so I don't know what's going on with that.
Let me see what is this members only playlist thing? If I do that, will it maybe it'll prompt to become a member? That's strange. It shouldn't have took you to Google because it was a YouTube link. So that's really strange. Interesting.
Yeah, but YouTube and Google are like the same thing.
Yeah, but they run separate. They run separate. So they aren't the same thing. They're 2 different businesses with different standalone companies. It's not like you go to Google and there's YouTube in there. That's strange. I
Oh,
wonder why.
Kimmy is a Verizon tech support trainer and also a criminology student. Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is really cool.
Yes, that is awesome.
So we have a question. Are we going to get into that at any point?
Make off the Chrysler 300 that's circling the Linda Lane footage. Yes. So I actually have that added. I'm not going to get into that this time. I have that added as one of the videos, and I do think that I'm going to do a breakdown of the Linda Lane footage, because I know that we've said multiple times that there is nothing there. There's nothing on that Linda Lane footage. And I know a lot of content creators have said multiple times that you know, it either proves his guilt because we can see the headlights in the picture, or not. And in my opinion, I don't think it proves anything. I don't think it helps him, and I don't think it hurts him, just because we have no visual image of anything going on there, you know. But I will add that to it. I will copy and paste that comment to specifically look for that Chrysler 300. Where did you get that information that it was a Chrysler?
It just came. Harsh just talked about it, and it's because Get a Clue just released a video on it.
Okay.
So I know that much. If you're gonna dig into it, I won't talk too much about it.
I mean,
but
we have a viewer that wants to hear about it. You can talk about it.
No, it's fine. I mean, I think that you should do a breakdown of it and look into it more. I didn't really get to dig into it yet because the weekends are super busy. We just did an interview with the, survivor of Rodney Alcala. So I've been working on that. So I briefly watched Harsh's video on it, but that's about it. I don't know what to think about it yet.
Okay.
I haven't really had the chance to really think about it too hard.
Yeah.
But,
interesting.
You can let us know what you think about it.
Yeah. Or I'll put that on the list to be a topic that we're going to cover for this week, and we'll go on it from there. We'll be able to touch on that from there. Yeah, I don't have much more to say, but we will dig right into the Idaho 4 topics. I don't think we even talked about the Idaho 4 topics last week, did we? Because we did the premiere into another premiere, which both of them were Idaho 4, okay? But they were a specific topic that we were talking about, not just updates on what was going on under the Idaho 4 umbrella, essentially. So we had the court hearing and we had the court case. And one thing that I like to do to you guys, so look, we're a talk show. We're here to give opinions. We're here to give breakdowns. We're here to hyper analyze information and videos that come out from other content creators, from the police, from the court system. One thing that we don't do is try and race to get information first. And I actually like that, because I'm the type of person where I need a few days to chew on things. I don't know about you, but I appreciate having a little bit of time to chew on a topic, to really understand how I feel about it before diving in. So
yeah, no, I like it too. I like having all of the information to make an informed decision or statement, or relaying that information. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because if you're really quick to the draw, it's a half-baked idea, like it takes me a little bit longer to process than that. And we appreciate that, Kimmy. She said, I appreciate that you guys don't just settle for the norm when it comes to who's guilty. You actually pick apart everything and pull out key pieces that are clearly relevant to the case and topic. And I'm really glad you recognize that, and that you appreciate it. Because that is what we try to do.
Yeah. And that means a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's our intention. I think a lot of times, you guys, that especially Idaho's a great example, but people look at these situations and they get so caught up on the suspect. It happened in the Watts case, which I get it. That's a disgusting crime too, you know, and somebody should be held accountable for that. But in order to be able to hold them accountable fairly and just, we got to be able to dig into the evidence. And a lot of times that means ignoring the suspect to come up with a valid and possible suspect by hyper focusing on the evidence. You know what I mean? And here's an example. So if you guys recently watched this here, hang on one second here. So if you guys recently watched this, I know. If you guys recently watched this here, so proof of Chris Watts' mistress at the murder scene. So I think this is, in just going down that line of thinking with the Chris Watts example, where we hyper focus on the suspect in any situation, it causes a lot of people, including law enforcement, to look through a keyhole, right? They have their suspect and they don't want to see anything on the outer ring, when in my opinion, based on the very limited information I had around cell phone data and or usage in this, I can guarantee you, I'm comfortable saying 96% sure that Kessinger was at Watts' house that morning. Now, I think because we hyper focused on Chris Watts specifically in that case, that she was missed. And it makes me worried looking at Idaho 4 in a similar circumstance where you have the police that are hyper focusing on Brian Kohberger. Maybe he does have involvement. I don't know. But is he the only one?
Well, see, that's what's going on with the Chrysler 300 right now, or 3000 or whatever. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. Yeah, 300. Is people are either speculating, like, you know, that's additional people maybe showing up. Okay. Like maybe that's more people, which, you know, Scarlett said this, and I agree. I think that it makes sense to me for it to be more than one person. It makes more sense than it being one who's never done this before in their life. Yeah. That we know of. Yeah. Way more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. If I had to guess, I would say that there's two possible theories here, and I'm not going to dig too much into this statement, you guys. I know it was one of our most popular videos was the drug theory. It really helped blow our channel up, and we're doing a response to the crime sleuthin video. If you guys haven't watched it, I'm assuming everybody has watched it. You guys know how we do things here. We do not show people's videos, especially when they're new like this and haven't been out for a while. So if you guys haven't watched this, I suggest you check it out. But there were a couple statements in there around the possibility of drugs being involved. And I do not agree. I do not agree with what was said in that video. Respectfully disagree. I don't want that to come off aggressive or I'm trying to come at someone sideways. I respectfully disagree with the opinion of Kara around the possibility of drugs. I respectfully disagree with Steve Gonzalez around the theory of there possibly being drugs. What's interesting is both of them have talked on a potential Sigma Chi aspect, and we know that there were drugs involved in that Sigma Chi argument. So, you know, I just think it's silly not to possibly look at the potential of drug involvement in this. So we did a response video on Friday talking specifically about some of the reasons why it's silly not to look at a possible drug involvement and or aspect. And I think people, you know, all of us, myself included, we have a very bad habit of being all in, like we have to commit 100% or not at all. And I think there's a lot of people that watch our channel and like using the drug theory as an example. I don't believe that that's my personal leading theory on what I think happened, but I think it is a good theory. And I think there are a lot of people out there that will watch our content and or channel and see us do a video on drug theory and think, oh, I can't believe they believe that.
Right. And we don't believe that. It's a theory.
Yeah, it's not that we don't believe it, but it's not that we do believe it. It's just a possibility based on statistical likelihood in said scenarios, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that, you guys. It should be a good one. And I'm curious if we can get a response from Kara in that video. I would love to know some more information around that topic to officially close that out or dig a little bit deeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we find out that Judge is going to allow cameras. Phenomenal. You know what's interesting is we had somebody comment on our video on one of our videos recently and said, "Hey, I just have a question." And if I remembered the person's name, I would give you guys a shout out. So shout out to you. If this was your comment, I appreciate it. But they said, do you think Judge has a good bead on the community and what people are believing and or thinking or ideas they're pushing or things like that?
Based off his decision, I think he was looking to media and the community and the internet because of what he said, because I feel like what his decision is exactly what everyone was saying it should be.
Agreed.
It was, yes, I'm going to keep cameras in the courtroom, but I'm going to take more control over them, which is what we've been saying from the beginning. Everybody is they just need more control.
Yep. And what's interesting is we've said it from the very beginning too, that in my opinion, I think that all this camera BS that takes up so much time of all these high profile court cases could be solved and resolved, period. 1 point. By taking a GoPro camera. I don't know where my GoPro is right now to show you guys as an example, but this little tiny camera, it is tiny, okay? And putting it up, and it's a fisheye lens, so it covers a huge area, and putting one of those cameras up in every court case or every courtroom and showing that to a website. And somebody suggested this. They said, I'm surprised they don't do that and charge people. I would be down for that as long as it's showing to the general public that, hey, you want access to this, you got to pay your $2 annual fee, you got to pay your $2 monthly fee, whatever it is, right? And you have full access to this camera. And there we have money going into our justice system. We have people that are probably not trolls accessing that because they don't want to pay. That decreases a lot of fraudulent activity and behavior around it. But it gives the public access and a focal point. And it gives the general public what we feel like would be justice, right? Because our justice system is supposed to be transparent. And that's the big issue in a lot of these cases right now, is the fact that there is no transparency. So in the Idaho 4, we have the prosecution who doesn't want cameras. We have the defense who doesn't want cameras. And then we have Judge come out and be like, yes, savior of the people. We got cameras, baby. So I think that commenter's onto something.
Yeah.
I think it's very likely that Judge is looking to the community.
I think he is too, which is a positive in my opinion.
I agree.
Prosecutors should maybe do that more.
Yeah, I agree. So at least we have some form of camera media coverage in that case and courtroom right now. What that's going to look like specifically, I don't know. And
now on the flip side, we got cameras out of the Delphi courtroom just when we got them in.
Yeah, I know.
We just got them.
We do. But
we got 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes of footage and that was it.
I know.
And they're gone.
I know. And we'll dig into that soon when we switch over to the Delphi coverage.
I really enjoyed, even though, so we've been really, really, really busy. We had a lot of things going on this week, and the podcast is shorter than it has been. Honestly, it's probably more on point than it has been because we've been going way over time lately. But I really enjoyed our topics. Like I went into grand juries. We went into a lot of Delphi stuff.
Yeah.
It was good. And you guys are going to have some good videos, some good clips coming out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dig into the topic around the grand jury decision through Judge, because I don't feel like we talked about that very much. And we'll just keep it light because I know that we have one of those videos coming out. But a lot of times what we're seeing is that our online or our live stream watchers are not necessarily our pre-record watchers.
Yeah. You want to pull up Andrea Burkhart's Twitter?
Sure.
Her live updates, because that's really where all of this talk comes from, is this one statement by the judge. Well, no, it's actually by what's his name again? Gosh. Logston or whatever. I'm forgetting how to say his name.
Okay.
The other attorney on Koberger's defense.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Logston, I think it is.
What,
Jay Logston.
Do you know which one is it?
Are you on her account?
Yeah.
Okay, go down. Right here.
Right here? This thread?
Yes.
All right. So Andrea Burkhart.
Yeah, we don't have to read all of them. But.
Was in the courtroom for the Koberger hearing, as she has been, if you guys didn't know. And which one are the important ones?
So let's see. Where's the one about the 6 jurors? Tell me if you see it right here.
Yep.
So for one,
I'll highlight it
here.
if I can.
Yeah, that one and the one above it. The general common law rule was probable cause, but the Idaho legislature at the time of the Constitution was beyond a reasonable doubt. So that is what the legislature intended, which is what Logston was arguing, is that in the Constitution in Idaho, it's supposed to be without a reasonable doubt, which is the standard they do to convict people, not usually to indict them. And that's not how it's been used this whole time. The argument's interesting, and the judge even said he appreciated it. But Logston says this statement in this argument, okay, where he says, Logston argues purpose is to make state put on its A game to grand jury. Says that didn't happen here because 6 jurors wanted to hear more until they were told the standard was probable cause. So 6 jurors asked for more.
Yeah.
They wanted to hear more evidence because they weren't comfortable giving that approval yet for an indictment. What? And so what? Bill Thompson just told them no?
Yeah.
No more evidence for you?
Yeah, and I feel like you go into the details around the grand jury really good in our topic, so we'll probably stay off of that specifically. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like there's a major issue there because when you convene a grand jury, okay, that grand jury is supposed to essentially lead that situation. They are the leaders.
Right.
Like they're literally allowed to investigate at their own accord before they come to a conclusion.
Interrogate, like they can question witnesses.
And that didn't happen in this situation. In this situation, what it seems like it felt like, okay, which I get it, seems like it felt like, it seems like it felt like that the prosecution was guiding these grand jurors on a leash and saying, hey, this is where I need you to go. This is where these are the things I want you to see so that you can come to this conclusion over here.
Yeah. And you know what? I won't go too far. So our video that's going to be coming out about the grand jury process and this statement, I go into like the history behind it, what it's meant for. And what I want to say is I think the idea behind grand juries is incredible. And I think that it should be being used that way. The way that it was written and formed I think that it's a wonderful idea, having citizens investigate this crime and make sure they're that this is warranted, that these indictments are warranted. There's nothing untoward happening or illegal, or you know what I mean? There's not, the government's not being oppressive, but also making sure that justice is being served. Like, those things are really important. And the grand jury makes sense until it's being misused, which I think
is weaponized.
Right. Until it's weaponized by prosecutors, then I have a major problem with it.
Yeah, because ultimately, like, where you're going with that is that the grand jury was created to be an advocate for the people, not the prosecution.
Right.
So as we see it weaponized here, even and this is really one of those crappy situations where everyone was right. Everybody, okay? The defense was right. It was not supposed to be used like this, and they leaned on how the law was created. And then you have the prosecution who is using it how it's been used for the last 100 years. And then you have the judge who's making a decision saying, look, I understand it. I appreciate you're going down that road, but this is how it's been used for the last 100 years. So in that situation, unfortunately, everybody's right. I don't see.
Yeah.
I understand why the prosecution used it, because it's a tool that the prosecution has been abusing and misusing for the last 100 years.
But for them, it's standard.
For them, it's standard. For them, it's standard. So, and that's a really important aspect to law that I don't think a lot of people grasp onto right away, is that law is moldable, and we will see situations where the law will say one thing, but because of what the recent standard is around managing that, the law will have been molded and evolved into something different from what it was originally written as. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. In this case, it doesn't feel like a good thing, but I also understand it.
Yeah. So when I was researching the whole grand jury process, really, when these issues started to crop up in America where people were questioning it and writing papers on it, all the papers I found happened after like the Ferguson incident. You know, those incidents of racial injustices, trying to get justice for those victims, and issues with the grand jury process. And there were a ton of people, like, you know, shouting from the rooftops, this is a problem. This is being weaponized by the prosecution. People aren't getting justice. The prosecution is just using this as like a rubber stamp. They're not allowing the jurors to look into it and actually do their job and investigate. They're literally just using it as a tool to get their indictment without having to do any work, without having their evidence questioned.
It feels so shady. It feels so shady because our justice system is created. And look, I was communicating with somebody about the Suzanne Morphew case. And there was somebody that I could tell has a lot of buy-in into this case and believing Barry is guilty. Okay. And they were giving great points around why they feel like Barry was guilty. But I'm reading these comments and thinking, I understand it. I get it. I understand why you're frustrated. I also see your points, but in a fair justice system, you have to show the entire picture. We are not allowed to say, here, let me draw this big picture of exactly what's going on here, and you can see this much of it. You know what I mean? That is not transparent. That is not justice. That is not fair and freedom. And in this situation, and it seems like in Idaho in general, that is what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That is literally what is going on here with the grand jury indictment, is they have this big picture and they're treating the defense and the grand jury indictment exactly the same and saying, hey, we have this big, great 100% fulfilled picture, but here you can only see this much of it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like blows my mind.
Yeah, and the grand jury was originally like meant to be a shield for the public and a sword for the prosecution. That's like the whole saying is it helps, the prosecution get justice and fight the bad guys while it helps protect the public from an oppressive government, charging people who don't deserve it, essentially. And it's really not functioning that way anymore. It's really unfortunate that it's gone this way and it continues to go this way. And I feel like Idaho's justice system is kind of backwards compared to a lot of other states in our country. Like that was part of one of Logston's arguments is like California's done away with this. There's states that have done away with this. And while I'm one of the people that don't think it should be done away with because I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it should be reformed. I think there needs to be safeguards so that maybe the prosecution isn't even a part of it. Maybe they just give all of this documentation, all of this evidence to these grand jury members. The judge outlines like, hey, here's the boundaries. Here's what you're here to do. Here's the expectations. Investigate this. There's this red tape. There's this, tells them exactly how the process goes. And then they do it.
Agreed.
And there's not a prosecution there to taint anything, to make an argument, to grandstand. To fabricate anything. Like, because the human element is undeniable. Like, we can't, just because these people are, go to law school and, are experts in their field, are seasoned, it doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes. Look at the judge in Delphi right now. She is an extremely well-seasoned judge who hasn't done anything wrong in the past that we know of so far.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
What they call that something like it's essentially like black robe syndrome, where a judge has so much power that they feel like their place is bigger than what it actually is, and they see themselves as being like the leader of this court, and they are not that. They aren't any bigger than the lawyers that are involved. And one more statement real quick. So with the grand jury, I feel like it has to move forward without just abolishing the grand jury altogether, because I don't think we should. I think that it's a good tool. I feel like it either needs to include both the defense and the prosecution every single time a grand jury is convened, or include neither of them. I just feel like it needs to be fair on both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
And what's up, Drunk Turkey Show? Super stoked to have you here. I apologize for that delay. If I stop talking mid-rant, I'll never get it back. It'll be gone. Bam. Yeah. Super stoked you're here with us.
Good to see you. What do you think about what ended up happening with the Lewiston, Maine stuff? Because we were on Drunk Turkey Show when that first broke.
Yeah.
And we were, we had to stop and talk about that for a little bit. And what's come of that is also kind of insane from what I was reading. It's one of the updates in the recent podcast that's going to come out. But, he was found, passed away.
Yeah.
And there's evidence showing that the police were warned like a month ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
I don't want to dig too much into that, but I feel like the police did a good job in this situation. I really, really, really do. And
I don't know that there's much more they could have
done. There's always a better job in any situation. I think that's something to remember when we're judging or grading anybody's performance anywhere, is that there's no such thing as perfect. It doesn't exist. There's a very popular saying in police and law enforcement where they say there is no perfect crime. There is no perfect investigation. There is no perfect case, because perfect doesn't exist. There are going to be flaws across all of it. You just do the absolute best you can to minimize those flaws,
Yeah. So I agree with you.
I got to use the restroom. You want to respond to comments?
Yeah, sure. Kimmy, I did see you saying some things while we were talking, so I'll look at yours too in just a minute. But yes, Plessy versus Ferguson. I believe that's it. But wait, is that the officer that was charged with the Ferguson boy who was shot and killed? I thought his name was something else. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember right now. I'm not good with names. Yep. 6 of the grand jurors wanted more evidence about his car being near 1122. Doesn't look like they have any. I mean, isn't that what we all want? Like, I think that's one of the big things for me is I want to see like the videos. I want to see, because we know there were Ring cameras in the neighborhood. I want to see those Ring cameras picking up in his car coming to the house. I want to know if you can see an outline of him. I want to know if you can see a license plate. Like, oh my gosh, that would be incredible evidence. And we just haven't heard of it so far. It doesn't mean it's not there, but I personally just don't think it is. Or else I think they would have at least stated it in the PCA. But I could be wrong. Maybe it came later after the PCA was written. You know, you never know. I know, I feel like I will explode into flames waiting for this trial too. I hope they have kept a whole lot of evidence under gag because I have so much doubt. I would vote not guilty. With the current evidence, I don't know that I could send him to death right now. If some stuff comes out that's like bombshell, like I could. And you know, also if they established like a clear background and history on Kohberger, like if they showed me more than what's there already, which I know there's already some stuff there, okay, that's like kind of weird or you know whatever, but if they could show he broke into houses as a young boy, okay, or he was a peeping Tom, or like you know what I mean, he violated people's boundaries in that way and escalated in some kind of way, then I could see myself leaning way more and be pretty certain he's guilty. But I just don't see that specific escalation. I don't see it there yet. But again, that doesn't mean it's not there.
Where are we at here? You get caught up?
I was trying to, I think this was a comment to you. B, weaponized is by Dara, right? Dare Square. Weaponized here, consider a percentage. I don't know. I don't understand. Do you understand?
But with scared abused victims, not death penalty situations, it is a panel or a jury appears. Yeah.
Plus gag order and hiding info.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I understand. And what's interesting in that situation is the fact that that's common. That's common. And that's important to say in these situations, right? Because we have a lot of people that look at this and say, dude, do you see these tactics that the prosecution is using? And I do. And I don't think they're okay. To be clear, to be very transparent, I do not think they are okay. But they aren't a this case problem. They are an Idaho problem. You know what I mean?
They're a country problem, actually. The grand jury is a problem that spans many states in the United States, about them, like prosecutors weaponizing it and using it to get indictments that, you know, the evidence is half-baked. It's not fully formed. Like there's not a clear picture, and they go in there, they get their stamp of approval, and they walk out and they're good. They don't have anybody questioning anything.
Yeah. And what's interesting as a salesman too, you guys, when I look at this, and maybe I have a little bit of a different perspective from other people, but if you can get me in front of somebody, especially in a situation like this, I can usually change their opinion. You know, that's my profession. That is what I do. Yeah. And I don't mean in a manipulative, shady way, but it is easy to hand someone a telescope and say, look right there. You know what I mean? And they don't see everything else around it because you're not showing them that area. They only know, hey, let me put this here. Now look through the lens. You know what I mean? And that is the whole point of a salesperson. That is the whole point of the prosecution and the grand jury. And that's what concerns me.
Yeah.
So concerning.
I agree with you. And thank you, Just Dawn.
Yeah.
We love that you're here. I want to say hi to Riddler and Cynthia Gaines. Good
And
to
if
see
we
you guys
missed
tonight.
anyone.
And anybody who joined that we missed. Bon, I'm so glad that you figured out the membership stuff. It's such a pain in the butt. Right now, I can't even figure it out on my personal account. So I'm going to try to figure it out on my personal account and then try to, when people are having that problem, have something to tell them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, try this. Barry in the Morphew case, I feel like there's something about it that I kind of feel like he's guilty, but the DNA in her car.
I agree.
Whoa.
And also the fact that they found a dumping ground. So look,
yes,
that dumping ground blew my opinion wide open, because one, dumping grounds for serial killers are very common. They usually return to the same place because, one, they are reliving these experiences that they find joy in while adding to that. You know what? It is like their own little oasis area. So that is so common. So I look at that situation and I feel like if Barry is the guy, then he has to be the guy of these other bodies. Am I wrong here? Could he be a co-conspirator in these? Yes, absolutely. Could, you know what I mean? The only other option is you're saying that Barry found this dumping ground, was like, oh, I'm not going to call the police. I'm going to move this to here to cover up. Like, oh, you know what? Statistically not very likely.
You know what? Here's a little thing I had pondering in my head. It's a random theory that I came up with in my head that I've never talked about, but this is what I kind of thought of, because apparently some guys approached his daughters after their mother disappeared and like threatened them or something like that.
Whoa.
To not talk. I don't remember the whole situation, you guys. I just remember hearing that and being like, what? And so this was my theory, is that he hired a hit out on her. He found out about her cheating, hired a hit, and maybe it wasn't from a well-experienced person. Maybe this guy was a predator. Maybe I don't know who it could be, but maybe he hired them. They abducted her, which is why the DNA is in the car. And at the time when he gets back and is running around the house, he's maybe cleaning up evidence and making sure things are pointing in a certain direction.
Oh, that's a lot of added storyline, and that always makes me nervous. Not that it's not possible.
It's a random idea in my head.
No. I think it's a valid theory. I really do.
Like taking her bike out of the garage, throwing it in that thing at the bottom of the hill near their house. Like, trying to make it look like she went out on a bike ride or something. But then why would all her stuff be in the car and DNA from another guy be in the car?
Look.
You know what I mean?
The biggest thing that makes me question this, Barry, is the trash dumping. Okay. I've done work like that. And when you are
work like construction
type work, not ending people. Okay. So when you're doing work like that, you're tired all the time. The last thing in the world you're going to be like, oh man, I need to get rid of this. Let me just put one piece in one dumpster. One piece here, one piece there, one piece there. But dude, the easiest thing to do is to just stop and put it all in one dumpster. But could he be a weirdo with some weird obsessive tendency? Or could he have been in trouble before in the past? Maybe.
Well, do you know why he said he did it?
Yeah.
To save money on taking it to a dump.
Yeah, illegal dumping.
And to not get in trouble for dumping it all in a store's dumpster.
But what I'm saying is you're still illegal dumping. So there's no point in breaking it up into 6 dumpsters. You're still illegal dumping, whether it's 1 bag or 10 bags. Yeah. So you would save your time and just drop the 10 in one.
Yeah, but he's doing that so that people don't notice.
I'm saying that's not a likely reason.
Yeah, I don't think it is either, but
I just don't believe it, because you're still doing the crime and you're now making it worse by increasing the chances of being found by illegal dumping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Drunk Turkey weighed in because we were talking about the grand jury, and I said that maybe if I saw evidence of Brian Koberger being like a peeping Tom or like breaking into homes, like getting comfortable having that,
just any evolution.
Yes. You know what I'm talking about. So he said he doesn't, and we're talking about the car. Like if the grand jury should have been able to see maybe videos of his car like they supposedly have, because somebody left a comment saying that's what the grand jury wanted to see, was more evidence of his car being in and around the home at the time of the crime. Now, I don't know where you got that information
Fair
from,
question.
but it is a fair question. I don't remember seeing that or hearing that in the hearing, but that could just be me in my memory. But Drunk Turkey didn't think they would show those videos to the grand jury. I feel like they should have, and that's one of the issues, because the grand jury is supposed to be able to investigate.
Yeah.
And then on the escalation thing, Drunk Turkey said, didn't police suspect him of breaking into his female fellow student's apartment and set up cameras where it's suspected he was watching her? It came out after the IDs were found at his house. Speculated one of them was the female whose house was broken into.
Yeah. I've heard that speculation. I think there's as much worth into that idea as there is in the opposing ideas of he's just a great guy, never had any issues with any woman out there. I feel like more than likely these things end up somewhere in the middle, right? I don't think there's been any evidence that he's broken into and installed those cameras.
You mean like hard evidence?
Yeah, well, not statement. So statement, everyone has an opinion. We know that, guys. Obviously, we have our own opinion here too. But when we're looking at the potential of trying to figure out and deduce whether somebody is guilty or not, we're looking for that concrete, look, here's a picture. Obviously, we aren't going to get it. I understand that. But we can do the best we can by trying to connect at least the outline of the puzzle picture, you know what I mean, to come up with the conclusion of what the picture most likely is. So I've heard that. I don't know if there's anything true to that, because I want to go back to the case, and the prosecution is playing secretive. Okay, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what they're doing. They are being secretive. This is their approach. They are intentionally keeping stuff away from the defense. They are intentionally convening a secret grand jury and intentionally keeping defense and all parties out of it, right? So when I look at that situation, I try and get in their minds. And what I think they're doing is every bit of information that they hand over to the grand jury, they're looking at as a risk, a flight risk, right? An informational flight risk, where by giving that information, they increase the likelihood that that information could come out to the public, because every single one of those grand jury members is a potential risk factor. Now, I get it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's okay. I don't feel like it's going to come to a fair conclusion of a trial, but I understand that's their point and position here. I don't even know what I can say about it, because it's just not okay in my opinion. Right. I feel like, again, using Barry Morphew as the example here, sometimes, let's just assume Barry is guilty, okay? There are going to be some situations where we don't get justice. But in those very few situations that we don't get justice and don't get the right person, that is going to ensure that the other 99% of the time we have real justice. And that is the one downfall of having a transparent, open justice system, because again, there is no perfect. It just doesn't exist. We're going to have wrongful convictions. We're going to have murderers that get let off, and our goal should be to minimize that percentage as small as we can absolutely make it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I saw Cynthia said that girl actually asked Kohberger to set up the cameras or help with her computer. I don't know. Because there was a break-in or something like that. So, okay. She just heard that Kohberger was asked to help this girl. Okay. That she asked him to help.
Yeah.
Drunk Turkey said, yes, you're correct. But after those IDs were found, story came out, someone broke into the lady's apartment, and then she asked BK to install cams, but the police suspect BK did the initial break-in. But then how would he have known she would have asked him specifically to come install cameras.
She wouldn't have. This is another one of those situations where I feel like we're going to have a whole bunch of information around it, and I don't feel like we're going to have anything concrete. And I think that this is another reason why I look at Judge's decision to keep cameras in the courtroom, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I feel like the public deserves to know these things, and I know there are people out there that will say the public doesn't deserve to know anything, but I guess it depends on how you look at our justice system and feel like it should be managed and or used, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
interesting.
You got to go through these comments quicker. You are a slow comment.
Well, you also talk a lot.
Manager. You got to quickly.
Okay, well, let's read an Ian comment. To be honest, police suspect doesn't mean much to me because police can suspect or speculate anything. If we know why they suspect BK did the break-ins, that means something. That's a good point, because the police are doing the same thing we're doing here, but with more investigation, more facts, like, because they're police. They have more, access.
Yeah, they have all
but they come up with theories.
Yeah.
That then they turn over to prosecutors.
Yeah. Absolutely. Obviously, there's going to be situations where it's not going to be a theory. They're going to have video camera evidence, or it's going to be such a concrete, solid outcome like Gilgo 4 that there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, the only big question, again, going back to, is if you don't have a rock solid Gilgo 4 type evidence case, is it okay to keep it secret to try? I think the big issue here is they feel like it's Brian, okay? Whether there's some kind of fraudulent aspect to it, or there is a completely honest aspect to it that they believe it's Kohberger, and the secretive nature of their approach makes people feel like they're digging a landmine and just waiting for the defense to step in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the biggest problem that we're seeing people have against this case.
So J. Ray said, I find it interesting because I feel like if that whole thing was true, there'd be some kind of police report. Otherwise, it's just speculation after the fact, which is also a good point. I would like to see a police report on that too. Hey, Brian, haven't seen you guys in a while, or seen you in a while. So the info on the 6 grand juries is out. That is great. Yep.
Yeah. No, I do think it's good. I think it is eye-opening for this situation and helps us get a better understanding of what's going on. Now, going back to Kohberger, man, we say this, and I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the face, that, look, I really, really, really hope he's the guy. I do. And my big argument here is that I don't know if police did a fair investigation, and that's the big issue in this situation. We won't know if they've done a fair investigation because it's gagged, it's hidden, and there are details that are being kept from the general public, which I get. I don't agree with, but I get. I just hope that we get more information, because looking at that situation, if he is the guy and they didn't do a fair investigation and he gets off because of that, okay, problem. If he is not the guy and they didn't do a fair investigation and he gets convicted, problem. You know what I mean? It's just problematic all the way around. And I just hope, there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of faith in the Moscow PD. Now, the Dr. Moore investigators were involved in Moscow PD, and we found that Payne, right, has a connection with the Dr. Moore Bonner's Ferry area. That brings major concerns and red flags. So I just hope we get enough information to understand whether we're looking at a fair investigation or not,
Yeah. And so thanks for clarifying that, Drunk Turkey, saying that basically the female told BK about the break-in, and he suggested the cameras, which would make much more sense than what I was saying before. So thanks. But yeah, I mean, cops can absolutely be corrupt. I think it's less than we think it is, based off of, you know, everything in the media and everything.
Yeah.
Everything gets blown up now.
Yeah.
Every little thing gets blown up, spread around, and then we think it's like a huge problem when maybe it's not as big of a problem as we think it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely issues in our justice system. It's not perfect. But I have some trust in the police until they give me a reason not to, which is what we always say on this channel, is we like to trust them until we see cracks.
A problem.
Until we see cracks.
Yep. Because look, the police put themselves in a position where they could be hurt, ended. They put themselves in harm's way every day for the general public. That's commendable, man. So I don't think anybody could look at that situation and say it's not commendable. Now, are there cops out there, right? Just giving a few of those potential outlying factors. Are there cops out there that become a police officer because they are a sociopath and those power positions attract sociopaths? Yes, I get it. That's a small fraction of them, not the majority, but I get that, right? However, the majority of them, I believe, don't do that. I believe they join the police force because they have a calling that they want to protect and serve. And that's commendable. And we pay their salaries. And I think that them willingly putting themselves in that position deserves some respect. Now, respect isn't trust. Don't take that the wrong way. Respect is not trust. I will respect all law enforcement, 100%, right? 100%. But they're still people. And I don't feel like you should give, just complete trust in any people out there. And it's our job as the general public and the ones who are paying their salaries to look at the job that they're doing and grade and judge that. However, we are in a new technological era that is not what the norm has been, right? Police have been able to fly under the radar. You guys, I'm sure you guys have seen those Netflix shows of the entire police force that was in New York, that was dirty, that was running with the mob. We've seen the dirty cops in
Gilgo.
Gilgo. We've seen the dirty cops in Alabama or whatever, Georgia or whatever it was, where they broke into that black man's house and shot him through the face. That was a group of six officers.
6 officers.
Yep. Then you have Gilgo, where you have the DA and the chief of police, who were both doing shady things, intentionally kept the FBI out of there, which prevented it from effectively getting solved, doing shady things too. And I get all that. I understand that. But that is such a small percentage that when looking at law enforcement, we try and give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? We try really hard to give them the benefit of the doubt. And, but when you're in a position of public service and you make a mistake, right? I think it's important for us and others to first identify, is that a small mistake, because all humans make mistakes, or is that a big mistake? If it's a small mistake, okay, you accountability and move forward. If it's a big mistake, like fraudulent, faking, evidence, whatever, yes, that is a very serious deal, and it needs to be judged and handled very seriously.
Yeah. And I love that Kimmy saying that when she graduates, she wants to be the change when she is a police officer. And I think that's incredible. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I really hope your career, you have a great career. And this is a good thing to bring up. Police are background checked. They have to pass a multitude of tests. It's not just people or anyone. In fact, lie detector tests are required to get going, to be a cop. Name another profession that does that. So
and multiple lie detector tests.
Wait,
multiple.
I thought that's just FBI.
No.
So a regular police officer also has to
Absolutely.
have lie detector tests.
Multiple. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
That is a really good point. But even despite that,
yeah,
we're still humans at the end of the day. And, you know, there's people that can be bought. There's people that have personal motives, you know, and they may not be there when they first become an officer.
Yeah.
They may be a later thing. You know, even despite those things, we still have bad apples.
Yeah.
We just do.
Yeah.
So not every officer's bad. Like there's a tons of amazing police officers I have met in my life that have helped me through bad situations, that have been there when I needed them. I mean, there's incredible police officers out there. So I never want to condemn police ever. I don't ever want to come across that way.
No.
I want to support them to do their job because it's incredibly important for us to have the lives we're living, you know, and they put their life on the line. So I respect them a lot. But I don't respect when somebody abuses the system or breaks the law for their own benefit.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I have no idea if that's what's going on in the Kohberger case.
Yeah.
When I don't think any of us know for sure that's what's going on.
If in the Kohberger case, right, it ends up being a case where they thought for sure that Kohberger was the guy and they wanted to make sure it stuck, right? And a lot of times I've heard of a lot of cases where they'll have information that they got that they can't use because it was gotten in a way that wasn't necessarily transparently legal or things like that. So it can't be used in a court case, but they wanted to make sure he was the guy. Is it a situation like that? I don't know. But it doesn't take a whole town, right? And I think that's one of the things that we focus on when we're talking about these theories, that look, if Kohberger was set up, okay, let's just go down that theory. If it's a situation where Kohberger was set up, let's say, what's the leading theory? That the DNA was placed there, okay? That Payne walked in and put the sheath or pretended to find the sheath and it had Kohberger's DNA on it. That doesn't take a whole town. That can take one officer. Just one, right? Let's take that DNA out of the equation and look at the case for the evidence that's there. It would never stick. No way in hell, unless there's evidence that we don't know about, right? But what we currently know, there's no way it would stick. So it wouldn't take a whole town to create a crapshoot like that. It could take one officer. And then we deal with what we see in almost every city out there, blue blood, right? These are trauma bonded officers, and there's nothing wrong with that. These guys go through life-fearing situations all the time where they aren't sure if they're going to get hurt, if they're going to get beat up, where they got to depend on their brother in blue to the right, their brother in blue to the left. So inherently, they want to stick up for their fellow officers. And I wouldn't expect anything less than that. But because of that, it can create a situation that feels like there's a giant conspiracy going on. So is it possible that Brian could have been set up in a way where they added evidence because they believed so firmly that he was the guy that they added evidence to make sure that it's a conviction? Yes, we've seen it time and time again. We would be crazy not to say that's not a realistic possibility. But the only way we're going to figure that out is being able to look at the entire picture of all the evidence and coming to that conclusion in a court of law at this point.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So.
So what should we get into next? I love that you're here, Drunk Turkey. You know, speaking from, it's not necessarily an opposing view, but it's bringing up good points that are kind of opposing. It's just a good thing. I really like it. I like hearing your opinion. It makes me think. You know, it helps balance the conversation a lot. All of you are helping balance the conversation right now, and I think it's a great one around this topic. And I know I saw Bonbon, I saw you saying that we're not saying all cops are bad or anything. And I wasn't saying that towards any of the viewers right now. I was more saying that because there's a lot of pro-police people that when you call out the bad apples, you call out the things that, don't look too hot, they get offended and they think that you're condemning all police. And I just never want anybody to think that, because I support police.
Yeah.
Very much so. Both of us do.
No, absolutely. And I think we've said this quite a few times before too. And with the Drunk Turkey Show, there's not anyone else that I would rather be having a conversation with about the possibility of opposing theories. You know what I mean? You guys are so awesome at the way you communicate with that. And that's not everything. That's not something that every content creator out there can do, is to be able to handle their potential beliefs and theories being questioned and saying, well, hang on here, let's look at this, or hey, let's look at this over here. You know what I mean? And I think that's super important, and it is a skill that not everyone has, hopefully I have it being a salesperson, but I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. But all right, so what can we get into next? So
Riddler made an interesting comment based off of like statistics. I don't know that he gave the exact statistic, but police officers have the highest domestic abuse rates, I'm assuming, and we need to find the means to get them professional help. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
their mental health is so important.
It is,
especially when dealing with the public.
It is, and I'm sure that bleeds into their professional life.
You mean?
I mean, personal life. I'm sorry, personal life. All right, let's talk Delphi.
Okay.
So, brief rundown, okay? In the Delphi case, we have, is there something I can pull up here? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find that picture. Bam, right here. Oh. Open image in new tab. There we go, baby. All right. And you know what? Let me pull up goal too. Judge Francis Gold.
I think it's a really good, I think that's a really good topic, is that over time, a police officer may start out fresh and have, really good mental health, have really good intentions. And then over time, trauma from the job could alter their mental state, cause mental health issues, which will absolutely affect their judgment and decisions in life. I think that's a really good topic that I almost want to do a whole episode on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or a topic in an episode, because that's important. And I'd be really curious to look at statistics surrounding that idea.
Well, I mean,
how many officers are corrupt at the beginning? How many officers are corrupt at the end? Or, you know what I mean? Vice versa.
I do. I do.
The ones that do end up doing something that's corrupt.
So what's interesting is that Netflix documentary I'm talking about the New York police station. Actually, I think it was it East or West New York City or something like that. But it was the entire police station that was working with the mob, and all of them came forward to talk on that show and say that none of them started out that way. None of them wanted to be corrupt, and none of them joined the police force to get themselves involved in crime. It ended up just happening over time. And it's interesting to see, certain of them were blackmailed. Other ones were put into bad situations where they were threatened into doing that. And I agree with you. I think that there's something interesting there to look at, to see how that progression happens. Now, they are people, right? And I would bet that anybody in this chat or watching this show, if you think back 10 years, you were a different person, everybody.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
So
for sure.
police are people. They are going to evolve. They are going to change. Things are going to change. Life circumstances change. Everything changes. So we couldn't expect that not to happen with a police officer too, you know?
I
But
absolutely. I mean, so much. Think about being a police officer in that position, because I'm not one, never have been one. I can only imagine what it's like to do their job every day. And I'm
yeah,
sure they get burnt out, you guys. They don't get paid that well. They're not rich being a police officer,
agreed.
and they're dealing with a lot every day. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And some aren't supported very well
yeah.
in their jobs. So I can only imagine what that's like and how that would affect your mental health and your decisions and
Oh, you know
all
what?
kinds of things like that. What?
On our Twitter, which is interesting here because with the changes and updates to the case, these documents have since been redacted and hidden completely
Unfortunately.
from Judge Goal. So
Yep.
they aren't going anywhere up here. They aren't going anywhere. All of them are up here too. So we saw some content creators that only had a couple of them. We posted all of them. Every single bit of them. And I believe these are the 4 documents or 5 documents that Goal has since taken off. Now, the brief rundown of what happened. Okay. So we have Rozzy, we have Baldwin, and these guys they came to the hearing, the most recent hearing for Richard Allen in the middle here, obviously, right? For the Delphi case. And they came thinking that they were going to have a regular normal trial that day in hearing, and were asked to come into the her private whatever office area, and they were given an ultimatum. And there's legal lingo around it, but let's be real here. They were just threatened. Okay. They were given an ultimatum, and it was a threat, and they were told, hey, you have one of 2 options that you can make here. You can either recuse yourself, remove yourself from this case, and not have to deal with any of the backlash, or you can go out in the courtroom. And this is what she says, word for word, in the courtroom, in front of the nation, in front of the police, in front of your client, in front of all the families, and be removed by me.
Be shamed.
Be shamed publicly. Now, another important aspect to that is that we have not had cameras in the courtroom until now.
Until that one hearing for 5 minutes, and then immediately after she takes them out again.
Correct.
Which I find really interesting. So we never had cameras until she was planning to remove these
abuse these attorneys. This is attorney-client abuse, dude. Really, it is a gross abuse of power. I think. And what's funny is she comes at them and saying that they have been what was it, negligent? Was it grossly negligent?
Yeah, that their gross negligence.
Yeah, gross negligence has caused this to happen. Now, both of these attorneys here, you guys, the left Baldwin, the right Rozzy, have never, ever, not once in the total 50 years of being attorneys between the two, had any form of complaint against them, have had any form of corrective type actions in the legal system, have never had any questions against the bar, have never had anything, nothing, literally spotless backgrounds, you guys, spotless, completely spotless backgrounds. And she's going to treat them in this way. We pull up this picture all the time in our stories when we're covering cases in the pre-records, and it is what the justice system should be or lean on, and it has good faith, respect, and trust, I think is what it is. And in my opinion, this judge came at them in a non-good faith manner.
Yeah.
I think it was done in a bad faith manner where this wasn't on the record, which is already against the law. That is not how it's supposed to happen. Now, one could look at that and say, this judge was trying to do them a favor. She was saying, hey, so that we don't have to embarrass you, I'm letting you remove yourself. But again, that goes back to the fact that why was there even a possibility of them being removed anyways? Because of the leak?
Apparently, do you want to pull up the document that shows on Twitter that shows all of her listed reasons real quick? Just have it up on the screen, because her listed reasons are literally them talking to the media, which the prosecution had just talked to the media, so they were coming out to talk too, which is their right. It's important for them to be able to do that, for it not to be a one-sided narrative. So I find that interesting. The leaks were part of it. Sending an email accidentally to the wrong person. Baldwin meant to send it to Rozzy, but it went to somebody else whose name was just very slightly different and apparently didn't contain any, information that would have harmed the case. I mean, multitude of things, and none of them seem like huge deals. None of them seem like it warrants them being removed. The leaks, I guess, is the only one that really is like, okay, that's really not good that happened, but they were stolen from Baldwin's office, and he took measures to make sure it couldn't happen again. And from every account that I heard from attorneys is that it's not really a good thing to remove them just for that.
No, I have not seen one person besides like the high profile court TV shows where you have an attorney coming forward that says they agree with this. Not one. They say that the attorney-client privilege should have been protected. It's very, very important, and it should never be taken lightly. They look at this judge's decision and they think that this judge has a case of the black robe syndrome or whatever they call it, where their ego's bigger than what it actually should be.
Yeah, I think that there is definite ego and bias going on in this case with the judge, unfortunately. One judge had already stepped down from the case, and this is the second judge involved, and she is making so many mistakes. Like, from everything that we've been reading, which there is a document that was, we should probably show the new documents. Do you have them, or should I send them to you real quick?
Which documents?
It's the one that Hennessy wrote, talking about how she should not be removing. She shouldn't be removing court filings.
Yeah. Send them to me.
Yeah, I will real quick.
Yeah, so basically the rundown of what we're talking about is this is Baldwin's attorney, correct?
Baldwin's attorney, Hennessy, which there's been no money exchange between them, you guys.
I don't think that matters.
Baldwin did not go to Hennessy and be like, hey, I need to retain you. Hennessy came to him and offered and said, look, you need a lawyer, and I'm going to help you out.
I see a lot of content creators leaning on the fact that there was no money involved, but does it matter?
I mean, not really, I guess. There's nothing wrong with him getting a lawyer.
No, nothing wrong with him getting a lawyer, especially if he's looking at this case and seeing cracks here and feeling like there could be something done in an unfair way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I was him, I would get an attorney too, because you would rather have one and not need it than need one and not have it, right? That's life 101, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I see nothing wrong with him getting an attorney to aid himself in this situation, because I think what's going on is not fair and it's not okay. You know?
I agreed. And what's interesting is the first judge that recused himself was the judge that made the decision to move Richard Allen to the prison, which is the first time in the history of that prison that that has held a non-convicted person. So he is being held with convicted criminals in this prison for what they say they're his own safety. Weird.
Yeah.
Strange.
And we did have a content creator reach out to us that lives in Delphi that said we might do some kind of collab with them. But they came into the chat last time we were live talking about, being in that county jail in Delphi, and also having served time in the prison too. And that county jail really is tiny and understaffed. And they didn't probably have the manpower to like keep him safe. But in the same respect, why not just put him in a cell on his own?
Agreed.
Is there just not enough room? Like, what? I don't completely understand what's going on there yet. With that content creator's help, I'm going to try to understand more.
Yeah. I would love to get a little bit of insight on what it looks like in that jail, because like, dude, when I was younger, I did overnights, you know what I mean? Drunk tank style overnights. And almost every jail that I've ever seen and or been to has personal cells. Now, you could take one of those drunk tanks and turn it into a holding tank for somebody that is going through a case. In my opinion, you could. Is there some kind of rules and regulations against that? Maybe. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. But I don't see why they couldn't make an exception in this situation, except if there's some kind of reasoning why they wanted Richard Allen in that other prison that was other than his own personal safety, Right. Exactly. And I mean, these are the red flag questions that I feel like are not, we should expect them to be answered. Again, going back to like what we were just talking about with the Idaho 4 case and the problem with transparency, and how it never, ever in any situation should we ever look at any case and feel like we should be okay with convicting somebody if it's not a transparent conviction and case. I think that's the biggest issue there. The biggest issue there, in my opinion, is the fact that it needs to be transparent. Our justice system was built on the idea of being the town square, judged and graded by your peers.
All right. There we go.
Okay.
It's all getting mixed up in there. We got a debate going down in the chat.
Debate.
Just remember, you guys, to be respectful, which I trust a lot of you to do that. And be okay with people having opposing views. It's not so clear cut. It's really not. These issues are complex. If there are corrupt officers, it's not so simple. It's not always easy to discern who is corrupt and who is not. And, other officers may not be aware of what's going on always.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So, Drunk Turkey, I have a question for you real quick. So when a local, for instance, in the Idaho 4 case, when a local police, police station, when they have like a murder or something, and they're going in and they're investigating this, and there's FBI that comes in to assist them, what is typically the involvement? Since Moscow PD was leading the investigation, what is the typical involvement of the FBI? Because from my understanding is that the FBI isn't holding Moscow accountable, MPD accountable in any respects. They are only offering assistance, and
In testing. Yeah.
Like forensic testing and things like that.
That's what FBI came out and said.
Yeah, which, I mean, they could have been more involved than that, than we realize. They definitely could be. But the issue with ISP being involved is that those officers from ISP that were involved were the corrupt ones from the Dr. Moore case.
For sure. Like unquestionably corrupt.
Yeah. So, I mean, ISP, that, because we're talking about multiple agencies here, I see in the chat, ISP is really, I think, one of the main issues because those officers have a history, for me. And I don't think that
the Brady Giglio, yeah,
right. I don't think that they would, with those specific officers being involved, I don't trust them to call out corruption when they see it because of what they did in the past.
Yeah. And Payne should have never led this investigation.
Yeah, but does he have a history of misconduct? I haven't seen.
It's not about the fact that he has a history of misconduct. He's 2 years as an officer now, leading one of the biggest cases the world has ever looked at. You know what I mean? It's some major problems. And then you have Officer Payne in the same PCA claiming he built the cell phone triangulation maps and manage that DNA information. Like, it just raises red flags. I'm not saying 100% there's something shady going on there, but I am saying 100% that there's big question marks. Why? That was really your go-to investigator? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if the FBI has the authority to call that out, or if they even would mess with it because it's not their investigation. They're just helping out. They're offering support and testing. So I'm curious, like, how that works. Politics.
It's law enforcement politics.
So it may not be as like, okay, these are the rules and standards. Like maybe they don't follow them because that's not typical because they don't want to step on toes, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You only need 2 years of service to be a detective. And military court too.
I don't think what I'm saying is I'm questioning his detective skills. I'm questioning if he truly is the best man for the job. Now,
You're talking about leading the case.
I was a people manager for 15 years. At some points, I had hundreds of people underneath me, right? Which then turns into a chain of command thing where, I had 16 people directly that had people under them. So it was like 16 people. And then some of them had between 10 and 20 people under them. And then some of them had people under them even. But when I look at a very high priority case and situation like this, where we know there's going to be a ton of attention around it, and there was a ton of attention immediately. I mean, it was literally broadcast everywhere as soon as it happened. I'm going to be like, okay, who is my best representative for this job? Who is the one that I can trust in, that I can go to sleep at night and know this person has done this before in a flawlessly great way. And I know they're going to be able to manage every aspect of it because they have the experience to do so. And we've seen them do so. I just look at Payne and have question marks is all, and I think that's a fair question to ask because when you look at that, okay, let's look at the lineup. You know what? Maybe we need to do a breakdown on investigators or police officers in the Moscow area and see if that looks like the best decision.
Well, Drunk Turkey just said Payne was military police before.
Yeah.
So maybe he wasn't just 2 years as a police officer. He had more experience prior to being on Moscow PD.
Yeah.
So that would matter. That would matter if he had more experience in the past.
The only thing I'm concerned with is the optics of the statistics that are against him. Again, I'm not saying, look, when I was first hired into a sales position in the wireless industry, okay, I moved up faster than anybody else around me. In a couple months, I already had many people under me. So in situations like this, where we look at a lack of experience, I've been in those situations before. They absolutely can happen. But should it have happened? You know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But it's an honest question to ask. And I don't know if he was the best person for the job. The only way I would know that is by looking into who some of the other options are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get a clue and Thought Riot. We like Get a Clue. I think
He was offended by your hot dog.
He was totally offended by the hot dog, and I found it so funny. I was dying just because
he literally was like, yes.
I
He wanted people to not like the hot dog.
I wanted people to be offended by it. So we have nothing but respect for Get a Clue and appreciate all of his content, even if my hot dog costume offends him. And we hope that he just keeps killing it. He's made some really good content, and just keep doing it, man. We appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that Payne isn't necessarily qualified because I don't know all of his history. I don't know all of his experience. And the ISP officers, I mean, they did it before. That's my only argument back, is that they did it before. You know, they set up somebody in the past, and they were involved with the local police department in Bonners Ferry.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't really I mean, they were ISP at the time. It's not like they were the local PD heading the investigation.
Here's my big question mark, and why I want more information around Payne when I'm looking at this case is, we covered the Dr. Moore case. For those of you that are listening and haven't watched this video right here, hang on, give me 1 second here. Okay, so if you have not watched Dr. Moore Part 1 and Dr. Moore Part 2, you've got to watch it. It is 100% filed in court documents. Police officers that were involved in the Idaho 4 case, like heavily involved, lead investigators that were making decisions on what direction the Idaho 4 case should go, were involved in this Dr. Moore case, and they broke the law. They created fake evidence. They manipulated and altered timestamps, and they coerced a confession out of this man in a very illegal way. Now, when I see that, you obviously, I think people would be crazy not to say, okay, now we need to start taking this and looking backwards, right? Well, unfortunately, these guys had more cases forward too. So you have to look at the bulk of their work, right? Now, within these officers, apparently there is a direct connection to Officer Payne in this city of Bonners Ferry that this Dr. Moore case took place in. Officer Payne has a family business in the Bonners Ferry area. That makes me feel like, wait, is there a connection between Payne and these fraudulent criminal officers here? I don't know, but I want to know. I want to ask questions and look more into it. Now, knowing that, we also see that Officer Payne is the lead investigator in this case, managing the overall case in the Idaho 4. Excuse me, choked on my own spit. So I think those are very valid questions. Those are very real questions that we need to find out answers for. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting little fact that, you know, raises a little red flag. I don't know if it's relevant or not for sure. But like I said, I want more information too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, Art of Deduction. Welcome.
Yes,
to
welcome.
the chat.
Welcome,
we appreciate
welcome.
you being here.
Yes. But so knowing those details, just makes me have more questions,
Oh.
right? Because I'm questioning the
We know for sure, Drunk Turkey, that they were involved. Now, I don't know if you're talking about level of involvement, like you were talking about on the show when we were talking about this.
yeah.
Like, you know, you have an issue if they are doing anything more than taking tips, kind of thing.
They are the Brady Giglio, guaranteed.
Yeah,
There's no other
yeah.
possibilities out there that we know of.
Yeah, they definitely were involved. Now, the level of involvement is clearly still up for question.
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly for sure what they did.
Yeah.
We don't know that for sure.
Maybe.
But it sends up a red flag for us, and that's really what, you know, made us really start questioning the case and taking even deeper look into it, because we were already questioning it. Good night, Anne.
Yeah, good night. Yeah.
Wait, what? Joseph Morris is a YouTuber who created fake audio in a case we cover. Does he make us creators the same? No.
Yeah.
No. I don't answer for the crimes of another.
Yeah. Yeah. I think where you were going with that connection though, Drunk Turkey, is like if I made content with that person and we did a series together, I would hope that people would look into me too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least take a statement and say, hey, dude, we found out this guy did some super fraudulent stuff and we liked your content, but we see that you had a major connection with him. What's going on there? You know, and I would come out and give the explanation.
I'm glad you watched it and
go
enjoyed
pee
it,
again.
Amy. The Dr. Moore case. I assume you're talking about our part 1 and part 2 here. It absolutely was a setup. Yes, it was. And he's gonna win that lawsuit, guaranteed. Look up Payne's records. I will. I'm gonna do that now. You know, I haven't yet, but it's a good thing to look into, and I appreciate you guys bringing it up here. Because I didn't know that before. I would have looked it up if I had known that. And I think looking into the investigators' backgrounds is important when we're deciding whether or not there could be a possibility for corruption. You know, Payne hasn't always, you know, I've questioned Moscow PD's. They don't have a lot of experience. Okay. I've questioned their experience, but my main concerns for corruption in a setup come from the police officers from the Dr. Moore case specifically. Could more officers be involved? Sure. That's just where my concern comes from. Again, I'm not saying that's what I believe, though. I don't know what to believe. I don't have enough evidence to believe in a setup, or, you know, and a setup doesn't have to mean that it was intentional. It could also be tunnel vision. It could also, you know, be a situation where they worked the case backwards, got tunnel vision, and, you know, got their sights set on this one person and molded all the evidence to fit that person, which meaning it's not an intentional setup, but it's still a setup. I don't know. I just don't know yet. Like, we haven't seen the trial. So I'm not confident saying anything right now. Literally nothing. I can say what my theories are. I can say what my, you know, kind of opinion is, but I can't make a firm statement on any of it. And I feel like that's what everybody's really craving, but we're not going to get it.
Yeah.
We're not going to get it. Not until the trial happens.
Yeah. We can make best guesses, but we don't have all the pieces to that puzzle yet. But based on the pieces that we do have, we need to look at these potential other theories. You know, we've covered the drug theory here, right? This was a big one. We've covered the college theory a little bit, just the importance of there being a suspect for the sake of the college's financial success, right? They were at risk of $150 million. We've covered the 4chan theory, and there will be a part 2 on this, digging a little bit deeper because so many people wanted to know more details around that.
And we have the person who, you know, was relaying this information, giving more to us directly.
Yep. Absolutely.
So it's going to be a good one next week when we talk about that. One thing, yes, Amy, you don't have to worry about getting booted here, bringing anything up. We have only booted 2 people ever, and it was a timeout for just being a jerk and calling people names and stuff. That's all we've ever done. You can bring up anything respectfully, and you won't get booted here.
Yeah. We love to have opposing theories and opposing views. You know, I'll just leave it at that. But we like hearing everything. We want the whole picture. Give me every bit of information. I'm an information hog. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad that, you know, Drunk Turkey said this, that he thinks there's more of a chance that the Richard Allen case has police corruption, because I agree with you. I think that there is more of a likelihood of it than even in the Koberger case. And one thing that really, really struck me the wrong way is I was watching on Lana's channel. She pulled up an old media clip, and I think I brought this up before, of like issues with Libby's mom and the police.
Yeah.
And some of the things that Tony Liggett said about her mom. And it really
how
bothered me.
That is.
And how they had a family meeting like with the police, and they didn't even tell her about it.
Yeah. That is so crazy.
She didn't find out till last minute. That's so wrong.
Yeah.
She's the mother.
I agree with you. There's some definite bias going on there. And now it's not only with the police, but we're starting to see it with the judge too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious. This is another one of those situations where I need to see more. And I just hope we're going to be, I hope that information is going to be made available. I really, really, really do.
Exactly. And that's what we're saying too. Just because there's a bad cop on the case doesn't mean all of them are bad.
Yeah.
That's 100% what we've been saying. Yeah. I mean, you know, some people don't want opposing theories, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why, but that's their choice. But let's pull up these documents and talk about this.
Yeah. Okay, so this is in reference to Baldwin and Rozzi coming from Judge Francis Gull.
Can you can zoom, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Are you sharing that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I am. All right. So, court filings by former attorney Rozzi on October 25th, 2023, and takes no action. Attorney Rozzi withdrew from this matter on October 19th and is no longer counsel of record. These filings, therefore, are ordered stricken from the record. Clerk of County Court ordered to remove the pleadings from the electronic case file and the chronological case summary as being filed in error. So what she's saying here is that she's removing any of those documents that we looked at on that last live stream that we were showing you is on our Twitter here. And she's saying that none of these details matter around Rozzi because he removed himself. But remember, according to this document, the removal is the threat of either being publicly shamed on national television for the one time that cameras have been allowed in court, or removing himself. That's not really a decision, in my opinion, but
and Rozzi said he was going to file something, okay, a document to remove himself, but then never did. But then she forces him off the case anyway.
Is this next?
And I don't know if I would do that next. I would do, go to the next one, the Hennessy one. Yeah, the first page. This one, motion to reconsider. And here we go. Where did that comment go? Hold on one second. Hey, True Crime Investigates. Good to see you. Glad you're back.
Yes.
Go check out their channel, and Drunk Turkey's channel, and Art of Deduction. I believe you have a channel, if I'm remembering correctly. But let me make sure. I think I've seen your name before. Yeah. Yes. They definitely have a channel. Go check them out. We appreciate you guys being here. Amazing creators. And I'm really glad that, I really like that we have other creators becoming a part of the community, and, we can do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to build in a different way here, is be able to be a platform for the true crime community and work for the true crime community, and be able to have other creators that we can uplift and talk, right? Because we're a talk show. Sure, I understand there's a little bit of sleuthing going on with that, but ultimately we are a true crime talk show talking about all things true crime, including the entire community,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Drunk Turkey, if you don't want to drop your email in the chat, if you want to just us to connect you with another channel, we can always do that through our email, like CC you guys on an email. If you want that, just let us know.
Yep. Okay. So the motion to reconsider. What?
Your smart guy glasses?
Yes. People will believe me more with these on, all right?
Yep. You look so much more sophisticated.
I do.
So intelligent.
Now, motion to reconsider comes now counsel for Andrew J. Baldwin, and moves the court to reconsider the erroneous order to the clerk of Carroll County and the removal of appointed counsel without the opportunity to be heard. In support, counsel states, 1, on October 26, 2023, the court issued the following order. Clerk of Carroll Circuit Court ordered to remove attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi as attorneys of record in this cause. 2, the county clerk is an elected position, duly elected by the people of the county. She or he is a member of the executive branch of government, not the judicial branch. 3, part of the clerk's responsibilities is to maintain a complete and accurate record of court filings. That is a big deal. No judge has the authority to oversee the clerk or order the clerk to alter the record of court filings. 5, a judge may order sealings of filings only if she complies with access to court records rules, which Judge Gull has not. 6, on October 19th, 2023, Judge Gull obtained a coerced and involuntary oral motion of Mr. Baldwin. That withdrawal is a nullity and invalid as not in compliance with Rules 3.8 and 7.0 of the Indiana Rules of Trial Procedure. Mr. Baldwin has never filed a written motion to withdraw and will not do so. By operation of trial rules, he remains counsel of record.
Exactly. It's so messed up that she's just striking these, taking them out of the court records.
To me, it is ego, man. Like, it is so much ego. It's making my own head hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lynn said you have a Clark Kent vibe going on.
Ooh, I'll take that all day. You want me to? Nope, just kidding.
That would be sweet if you did it and had a super.
It would have been awesome.
Been amazing.
It would have been hilarious.
I
wish I was. Yep. 7, on the same date, the court obtained in the same manner an oral promise from Attorney Rozzi to file a motion to withdraw, which he has not done and will not do. 8. The due process clauses of the state and federal constitutions apply to all citizens, not just the accused. The fundamental notion of due process is notice and the opportunity to be heard. 9. There have been no valid motions to withdraw by appointed counsel. There has been no order of disqualification. There is no legitimate basis for disqualification. See motion for recusal and to disqualify previously filed and incorporated herein by reference. 10. Upon the filing of the motion for recusal and to disqualify, the court loses the authority and jurisdiction to make rulings on other motions or issues or issue orders other a hearing and ruling on the request for recusal and disqualification. And it just gives an example. 11, the court's order to remove appointed counsel leaves the accused without representation, interferes with the attorney-client relationship, was done outside the presence of the accused, and prejudices his substantial right to the effective representation of counsel. Bam. Respectfully submitted by David R. Hennessy. These guys aren't backing down. It's not going to happen.
No, they're not going to back down. I'm curious where this is going to go from here. She needs to recuse herself. Absolutely. I agree. She's biased. She's not impartial. She is not handling this well. She's literally going to destroy this case.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already had one judge who has recused themselves already. And I don't know if it just has to do with the fact that kids are involved. I don't know. Is it the Frank's motion or document or whatever, the addendum that came out that threw up this whole cult idea that she's offended by? Did she not feel like that was proper etiquette for the courtroom? One of the biggest. So when I look at this and I'm trying to deduce what could be the reasoning behind this for the judge, I see a judge here. Okay, I see a judge here that has been in law for a very, very, very long time, 30 plus years, going on 40 years. And with that comes some of that old dogs don't learn new tricks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do think there can be an issue with not changing with the times. I think, honestly, my opinion is that when that Frank's motion came out with the attached memorandum about the Odinist thing, is that, the whole Odinist theory is that wasn't really standard. That doesn't happen normally, typically. In a case. That's why it was so shocking. Like, obviously the contents of that memorandum were shocking, but also the way in which it was done.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it was valid. I do see the purpose for it. I do think it was important to getting the search warrant thrown out, showing the lies of Tony Liggett, showing them not investigating a whole rabbit hole of evidence, you know what I mean? Going down a totally different theory with the case, refusing to look at it. Okay,
yeah,
lying
about
the Purdue professor and what he said. Like, these are obvious lies that are being called out. And I think because that's not typical for a defense attorney to call out police officers like this, like to this extent, and showing it's just a lot. It's a lot. And I think, and mentioning, other citizens' names, suspects' names, all of that, and not doing it under seal and gag the way that is typically done, as we can see in a lot of other cases right now, especially, it was offensive to her and caused her to have an extreme bias against these attorneys and the client. And at this point, I think she should just step down.
I agree. I think that I think she was shocked by it, and she's not able to
look past it.
Yeah, she's not able to look past it. I agree with you 100%. and it's causing her to manage this situation unfairly now. And if a judge is supposed to be anything, they are supposed to be fair. They are supposed to be able to look at the court case and court and manage it in a fair way.
Yeah.
Just simply in a fair way. And right now, I don't feel like that's what we're getting. I think that what she's doing could hurt the defendant. And that's not fair because the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. Do I think he's innocent? I don't know, because we have such a flawed picture of what actually happened and what went on. Do I feel like there is a very good likelihood, or a very good chance, that he's innocent just based on the manipulation and tactics that we're seeing done at the prison against Richard Allen? Yeah, it makes me want to question more. It makes me want to say, what the heck is going on here? How do we have DOC guys that are involved in the management of this? Right now it's prisoner, but he's not. He's innocent until proven guilty. The holding of this man while he's going through court, and the abuse potentially that's going on.
Yeah. I mean,
problems.
There's problems from beginning to end, up like literally going from officers to all the way up to the judge.
This case is messed up.
It's super messed up, and it's really sad for the victims and the families. They deserve justice. They deserve the truth. They've went so many years, a half of a decade without any answers. More at this point. So it's really unfair.
Yeah.
It's extremely unfair.
And not even looking at the defendant, okay? I look at just the justice system in this situation. This isn't any justice system I want in my America. This has major question marks. It's disgusting and it's embarrassing. And I look at this situation and say, what are other people in other countries feeling when they're looking at this situation? They're like, oh my gosh, look at how disgusting that justice system is over in the US. I don't want to travel there. What if something happens to me? I can't expect to be treated fairly.
Yeah.
It's a problem. That's an issue.
It is a major issue.
Americans like to say we're the gold standard. Not in this case right now. We aren't. Not in this case right now.
Yeah, it's honestly just shocking. Completely shocking. So, you want to bring up the notice for the new lawyer?
This?
No. Yeah. Which there's another one too. Here. I don't have the document for him for some reason. I don't know why I couldn't find it, but
the new attorneys that have had multiple issues in their history of managing law.
That's what we're hearing so far, but I have not looked into it deeply to find anything official yet. I'm going to, but yes, that's what we're hearing.
Robert C. Saramin.
What? That wasn't right at all. Oh.
What?
Is that a C? It's SCREMIN.
Okay.
Screamin'.
Scremin? Okay.
I'm just going to call him Screamin'.
Scremin. Attorney.
I think it is Scremin'.
Scremin.
Yeah, that's his website.
Okay. Got it.
He's got 24 years experience, former deputy prosecutor, former SWAT narcotics detective, graduate.
Oh, blue blood.
National Criminal Defense College.
So she hired an attorney that has connections to police?
I guess so. Used to be a detective.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Oh, we should watch this video right here. Let me send this to you real quick, because this is one thing that was being posted on the Reddit, which is an interview that he did.
Robert Scremin
Last
has
year.
been practicing law for 24 years and has litigated over 600 major felony cases, including murder, child, domestic, and life without parole. Few lawyers have ever tried a murder case, much less obtained multiple not guilty verdicts. Mr. Scremin has tried 6 cases in the last year, in addition to aggravated battery, domestic violence, child cases, drug and guns cases. Mr. Scremin has also litigated discrimination and personal injury cases in both state and federal court. Mr. Scremin is a former deputy prosecutor with the Indianapolis Drugs, Guns, and Gangs Unit and a former deputy prosecutor with the Allen County Domestic Violence Unit. In 2017, Mr. Scremin was hired as the FCADV injunction for protection attorney for the Florida Keys and spent over a year working with Key West before relocating to Fort Wayne. He is also a graduate of the coveted National Criminal Defense College at Mercer Law School and a member of the NORML Legal Committee. Mr. Scremin began his legal career in San Francisco and later practiced in Chicago before relocating to Indiana. He is a former SWAT narcotics detective and has worked in the criminal justice field for over 35 years. Bam. All right.
So the other attorney's name is William Labrado.
Okay.
And I also sent you the article that has a video of Robert Scremin's interview from 2022 talking about the ballistics basically in the case.
Oh, wait, that's just yellow pages.
Oh.
This?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully there's no music in the background. Where is it? Right here?
Yep. That is it.
All right, let's check this out.
Attorney Robert Scremin with us here today. Several big developments in the Delphi case. We had the change of venue request filed.
Yes.
And the probable cause was released. So let's start with the change of venue request. The defense filed that. And this was kind of somewhat expected, right?
When we had talked last week, that was something that I said we need to be keeping an eye on, and here it is.
So what happens now? What's the process?
Well, once the defense files that under criminal rule 12, the prosecution has an opportunity to object if they want, and they would do that in writing, and then another hearing will actually be sent where evidence will be presented. Now, I've read through that motion. There's a lot of compelling statistical evidence, it seems, in that motion. So they'll have an opportunity to present that evidence. If Judge Gull were to grant a change of venue, then the parties would have an opportunity to agree on where they would move it to what county it would be. And if they can't, then that becomes a little more difficult and protracted process of eliminating other counties, and then ultimately the judge would decide.
Would the jurors come from that new county then, or could they come from other places but didn't have to go to that new venue?
If a new venue is granted, once they pick that venue, whatever county that is, then yes, the jury pool would come from that county.
Okay. And are we expecting the jury to be sequestered throughout the course of this trial because of the attention that it's received?
That's really too hard to predict at this point, but it certainly is a possibility. It's something that we saw in the Matthew Kramer trial, and it would certainly be something that could potentially happen in this trial as well.
Right. In the change of venue request, it did mention 150 miles as a destination. Allen County is 100 miles away from Delphi. Do we think Allen County could be in the possibilities of the trial coming here?
It's certainly possible because there's such a large jury pool here. But again, both sides are going to get an opportunity to see if they can come to an agreement. So I would guess that it's going to be a county that at least is going to have a large enough jury pool to accommodate this type of trial.
Right. Do we have a sense of when we might know a decision on this?
Well, this is a fairly short time frame. The prosecution has about 10 days to object if they're going to, and then a hearing will be set. And again, Judge Gull rules on these things in a pretty expeditious manner. So I think we'll probably know in the next couple weeks or so whether a change of venue will be granted.
Okay. Now, today, Judge Gall also ordered the probable cause to be released, a redacted version of it. So let's start with what is redacted in it.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of witness names that are redacted from it, which, again, as we had mentioned last week, would be normal in any probable cause.
Yeah. So what stood out to you in the probable cause, seeing it now for the first time?
Reading through that, a couple things that stood out was the consistency of talking about the description of the person that a number of witnesses saw, a male, that male's clothing description and the time frame of being around the bridge, and then also the forensic analysis of the bullet that was found near the victims' bodies.
So the bullet, though, was not a spent bullet, correct?
That's my understanding from the probable cause. Yes, it was not fired.
Okay, not fired. So how do you do forensic analysis on a not fired bullet?
Well, there's two different ways of conducting that type of analysis. If a bullet is fired out of a gun, then you can conduct an analysis on the projectile itself as it twists and comes out of a barrel. There may be different nicks and scrapes and things on the bullet, but any bullet casing that's been ejected out of a
What's he wearing around his wrist?
semi-automatic handgun, whether that gun has been fired or not,
Oh. Whoa. It's got some kind of symbol on it. What is that? Can you see it?
No, I can't.
Huh. We're gonna have to blow up this video and look at it later.
Yeah.
We'll post a screenshot later in the community post.
Interesting.
If we can get a good look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because clearly the Odinism link is real, y'all.
Yeah.
Not saying
it
that's
is
what it is
pushed
at all.
into the bottom part of the barrel, and then when the slide is racked and the bullet's ejected, even if it hasn't been fired, there's still an extractor that grabs the edge of that bullet,
What is
flips
that?
it out, and that process often, not always, but often leaves marks and dents, and those marks and dents can be very specific to the weapon that it came out of. So even if it hasn't been fired, in a laboratory, they can go back, put a similar type of shell casing in it in a laboratory environment, eject that round, and then compare the two.
Do you think that there are still more details in this case that will come out beyond what is in the probable cause?
There may be, things like DNA analysis. It can take months, and we were looking at timeframes here of October. Often DNA analysis takes much longer than that. So there may be some other evidence out there that we don't know about, or other tests that are still pending. Absolutely.
Right. And one thing the prosecution said is that there could be other people involved. So that could be some evidence that maybe we don't know about yet.
Absolutely. They don't put everything into a probable cause. It's just kind of the initial story that law enforcement writes. But there may be other evidence that we're not aware of, and we may not find out about for months to come.
Right. Well, months to come for sure, as we have many more.
Yeah. Interesting.
So one comment we got while watching this, which is kind of a thought of mine, does this give the prosecution a leg up because this attorney has already come out on a show basically saying that this is like a valid science?
I don't know, because we know in court cases that this evidence of him speaking on it isn't necessarily going to be shown to the jury. Okay.
Right.
Now, could jury members have already seen this and seen him talking about it? Yes. But couldn't it also give the defense a leg up by saying, look, let me show you, jury, where I believe this wholeheartedly. Now, I brought an expert with me who has shown me why what I said wasn't true. So let's show you why that's not true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think yes, depending on how it's presented, it could give a leg up to the prosecution. But I also think that maybe depending on how it was presented, it could give a leg up to the defense. You know what I mean? It could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
It could go either way. I'm more concerned with the background of this individual, because you have two incredible lawyers here that clearly are bought into their defendant, Rozzi and Baldwin. Okay. We have two incredible lawyers that were bought into their defendant that have been removed for what people feel like are questionable reasons. that weren't fair reasons. You have a multitude of lawyers and attorneys coming out that are saying, whoa, problem here. What is going on, Judge Gohl?
Yeah.
And it wasn't needed from what we're seeing. She didn't need to remove them and should not. It's not that she didn't need to. She should not have.
No. And I think that they have a real argument there saying that it violated a Sixth Amendment right. You know, I think that it is important for them to have that relationship with their client. Like, can you imagine being him? Say he's innocent. Okay, he's going through all of this. He had a severe mental health decline. He wants these lawyers on his case, and the judge is like, nope. And these lawyers want to be on his case. They have been fighting tooth and nail for him. Like they have literally put it all out on the table, you guys.
Yeah.
Like all of it.
And what's interesting that we're reading is that the judge doesn't have the power to do that.
Yep.
The only reason the judge has any sort of power in this situation is because they were appointed by the judge.
Yep.
That is the only reason.
It is. And yeah, if they throw out the search warrant, they don't really have a case at all.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. Art of
No gun to
Production.
connect them.
Yep, that's a really good point. And you know, I find it interesting. Okay, because we did the Bridge Guy video. Okay, we looked more into Ron Logan, and if you haven't watched it, go look at it because we both really strongly feel there is a strong resemblance between the person walking on the Bridge Guy, and we looked at a video of Ron Logan walking, and their body language, the way they move their body, the way they walk. Brendan noticed it seems that they both have a right knee injury. It's so close. It's so close. We watched image analysis by a creator. I'm so sorry, I can't cite who it is. I think that's literally in their name, though. It's like image
right
analysis. And they think that the hat that Bridge Guy is wearing is the same hat Ron Logan is wearing in this video right here. By analyzing it down to the pixels. Not one of those, like, they're like soft on top and have like a little mini hard bill. I forget what they're called. Yeah. They don't think it's that at all.
You're talking about one of the golf hats.
Yeah. Which is what everybody thought it was.
Yeah.
Which is what made them look at BH more because he had pictures on his Facebook of him wearing a hat like that.
Right.
I have strong questions, and I find it interesting. Okay, that everybody speculated that Bridge Guy was wearing a fanny pack. When they did the search of Ron Logan's home, they found a fanny pack and a gun that took the same bullets as the bullet that was found under the girl Abby's body.
Yes.
It was his property. He was there at the time of the crime. I mean, I don't know, man. He was known for being a really, mean man. He was abusive to domestic partners.
Yeah.
Partners have come out and said things like he had weird taste in, things you view in private.
Yeah.
He had weird taste in that. There's alleged animal abuse and doing things like castrating animals without any kind of sedative, kind of the old school way. So I don't take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah.
He has a history of breaking horses. When they went out to, it was from HLN. It was a reporter from HLN that went and he gave him a tour of the property. She said there was this image of him being like a frail old man, but he wasn't.
No.
He literally helped her up and down those hills. Those hills are crazy. And he got around them very well.
Yeah, he sure did.
So I feel like he's a strong suspect still in my mind, though he was never officially named as one. Yet the FBI searched his home and named a lot of things in that document in the search warrant that were really sketchy. And it's, you know what I mean? I feel like those things were never really panned out.
I agree. They weren't panned out. Now, one thing that I've wondered is, it if it's not Richard Allen, okay, I think that more than likely we're going to see a situation where it was more than one person, just based on some of the little bits of evidence that we found so far. Can it be one person? Absolutely, it can be one person. I'm not saying it has to be more than one person, but all the comments that we've heard about Ron Logan say that Ron Logan was always outside of his house. He was an outside guy. And this crime scene was a quarter mile from his house. Now think of a football field, right? Where you run that quarter mile around the football field and you just stretch one of those out. That's how far it was away from his house. I think it's very likely that if he's not a part of it, he might have known what was going on.
Yeah, and that's why we've questioned, did he know any of the suspects, like Elvis Fields, for example, in the memorandum, Brian Holder, Patrick Westfall? Did he know any of them?
Yeah.
You know, they were a part
Look
of
at these two. Like, you would be silly to say these don't look super similar.
super, especially when you play them walking side by side.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know a lot of people don't believe it's him, but what if he knew those people? What if he allowed them to use his property for rituals? Like, what if I don't know if there could be a connection. I found it really odd in the Patrick Westfall interview when they asked him if he knew Keegan Kline. He's just like straight up no, quick no.
Yeah.
But when they ask him about Ron Logan, he gives this very slight pause. And Drunk
He
Turkey
does.
pointed this out, you guys. That's where I was watching it. I was watching his reaction to it. And he pointed out, like, didn't you feel like that was different when he said he didn't know Ron Logan? There was a slight pause, and then he goes on to explain why he wouldn't recognize Ron Logan walking around a store or something and be like, oh yeah, that's Ron Logan.
Right.
Why did you need to explain that, but not for Keegan Kline, which
Exactly.
people suspect Keegan Kline way more than they do him,
Yeah.
Ron Logan.
Yeah.
I think that
that's
was
a good question.
Yeah, and I think that was a really good call out, Drunk Turkey. And if you guys haven't seen that episode where he reacts to Patrick Westfall's interview, you should definitely watch it, and also check out our Vinlander video, which it's labeled on the thumbnail, Odinist Cult found and Delphi found, but we're not talking about a cult here. We're talking about the Vinlanders, which is a gang, a skinhead gang, white supremacist gang.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to mention. But I just wonder if there's any connection.
Me
at all.
too. Me too. I think it's very likely there could be. And there are some major issues going on in this case. And again, I think this could be another situation too, where it might not be as big as we think it is. It might be as big as we think it is too. You know, it could go either way. Could this be a situation where you have a few bad apples of people where you have a few people that are in power positions, right? Positions of authority, and have put people into positions where they can severely throw this entire investigation off its track and off its course. I think that's possible too.
Yeah, for sure.
The DOC, the prison guards, though, that is, I can't get that out of my head, man. The coincidence behind that is too real.
Yeah.
Is too real.
And yeah, we'll definitely check it out, Art of Deduction.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining
Absolutely.
and suggesting it. That's something I definitely want to take a look at. And no, we've been super, super busy this weekend. We had a lot going on, but I will go check it out. True Crime Investigates. Again, thanks for being here and, you know, talking with us about it.
Absolutely. Any information, any personal information where, you know, people have dug in and investigated in these areas goes a long way. It goes a long way in helping to identify who could have been a part of this, right? And again, even if Ron Logan wasn't an active part of this crime, is it possible he knew? Is it possible he knew something? Because let's be real here. He asked family to lie about his whereabouts. we don't really know where he was for a few hours on the day of the crime.
Yeah, we do know he actually did end up going to that fish market, but not in the time frame he said he did.
Not in the time frame.
So there's time that's unaccounted for.
Yeah.
And isn't it actually during that time that's unaccounted for is when they have his phone at his home, outside of his home, right? I'm pretty sure that's what it said in the search warrant.
I don't remember that. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't think so. I thought maybe it was after that, but one thing they did talk about in that warrant or in that statement was that it only took like 30 or 40 minutes for him to get to that fish store. And he said he was gone 5 hours. Okay, where are at least 3 other hours, right? You have 30 or 40 minutes to get there, 30 or 40 minutes to get back. Let's give you a half an hour of shopping time. That puts you at maybe an hour and 50 minutes. So that, an hour and 50 minutes out of 5 hours, that still gives you a solid 3 hours of no accountability time.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Right.
What were you doing?
And we don't have answers to that.
Why did you ask someone to lie for you?
Exactly. And I know it's alleged that he, especially by Murder Sheet podcast, that they think he was just trying to avoid getting in trouble for driving without a license because he's had DUIs. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's something else.
But he's done time. He has done time. I think anybody that has experience doing time knows when investigators are looking into a murder investigation, they're not worried about those details.
Yeah, but they could still be shady like that, man. I've had situations in the past that it may, like my friend had a domestic violence situation where her boyfriend basically came with a gun to her house, okay, and assaulted her and was saying he was going to shoot her and everything. It got into a huge fight, physical altercation with her and her sister and him. And, the gun, while they were fighting, I fell on the ground and I had to grab it and I had to pull the bullets out and I had to call 911 and the cops came and she got arrested that night because they searched her house for some reason. I don't even remember how that happened, but they said, "Can we come in and take a look?" And she was like, "Yeah, I guess." And they went and searched and her roommate had a bong, okay, with residue of marijuana in it. And they arrested her for it. Oh my gosh. Her and her roommate. And
so
then
awful.
They arrested him too. But then he got let out on bail literally within an hour. And he came back. He came back too. Super messed up situation. But that's just, he literally came there with a gun saying he was going to kill her. And then they arrest her. And she had a child in the house, which I don't know if that's why they didn't like the whole pot thing. But because it was in like a small town where it's kind of backwards like that.
Yeah.
He lied because he was under probation. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to mention.
Isn't it parole? Wasn't he actually under parole, which sells that point even more? I think even in a murder investigation, if you're on parole, you'll get violated and go straight back to doing prison. Time. Yeah. A parole violation is serious stuff, man. Doesn't matter what it is. You're going back to do time. And that makes sense. I get it. I understand that. I still want to know about the missing 3 hours, though.
Exactly. Yeah. And good night, Kimmy. We appreciate you being here. She's probably not even here anymore, but I really liked her feedback.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you're rewatching the rest, yeah.
Yeah. She was a good addition tonight. I think this was her first time commenting in a live.
I want to take a second to thank all of our new members. We have so many new members, you guys, a ton of new members. We are in triple digits, and it's only growing and getting better. And that's all because of you guys, not us. You guys are the ones that are adding worth to this community. And we just hope that we can keep having these positive, thought invoking conversations around these cases, because ultimately what I hope is done here, 1, we get justice for victims. 2, we hold our justice system accountable, all of them, All of them. It doesn't matter what city it's in. It doesn't matter where it's at in the U.S. All of them need to be held accountable. All of them need to have a high standard for being a public service official, you know? Yeah,
Yeah, there should be a high bar.
there
There should
is
be.
and should be.
And yes, that is what happened to art reduction. You're right. He did go back and serve time after this.
Mhm.
And I honestly think it's because he lied. So they looked into him and he lied. So he went back.
Yeah. And also the FBI thought there was a very good chance that he could be the guy or part of it. So
Yeah.
one thing that they will do is if they think that you could be attached to it and they're worried you might run, they're going to throw you in jail for anything so that you can't run while they finish their investigation.
Which is what is happening in the Portland serial killer Jesse Calhoun case.
Yes, it is.
Which we covered.
And he was running, though.
He was running.
God.
He was running. You know, they had to pick him up out of state. We covered that a long time ago. There hasn't been many updates, so we haven't talked about it since, but we went into depth, extreme depth on that. And
because the interview with the girlfriend was wild. It was so telling.
From Valley Ray.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was so telling where she's contradicting herself, not because she's a bad person. I think that based on what we were listening from her, it sounded like there was some kind of abuse going on. If I had to guesstimate there,
like essay type abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, that can create some flawed reactions until people are on the other side of those things. Now, obviously I'm semi guessing based on my own experience and what I'm seeing in the video, but it is very interesting and telling.
So, from what I saw in the search warrant, Art of Deduction, that's actually not true. He went to the garbage dump that morning, because I thought that was weird too. He went to the garbage dump during that time,
which sounds shady.
It does, but he didn't. If you go back and read the search warrant, it was actually in the morning.
Okay.
Remember?
Okay.
Because I remember.
I trust.
I remember. If I'm wrong, definitely tell me. But I'm pretty positive it said that morning.
Yeah, I don't. If I'm remembering correct, I don't think the dump was during the time of the crime, but I'm not 100 on that.
It wasn't during or after. It was before the crime.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So.
Yeah, I'm
very
glad.
Interesting.
I'm glad you're enjoying your gifted membership. That's awesome.
Yes. And I had a decision, you guys. So I was gonna give my story around one of my crimes that I keep promising everyone, but it was either record that or do the interview around the Alcala potential victim.
The survivor.
Yep. And we did the survivor, and then I'm hoping tomorrow I will be able to do my crime video, which will be a members only video.
And everybody's waiting on you to get the Dickies work suit. We got comments on it tonight. Yeah. So just update on that. Our local Walmarts do not have those work suits. They don't. So he already tried to go get one. We have to order it. He really wanted to try it on first. So we were kind of trying to find somewhere around here that sells them so that it could be tried on. But so the phone pings with Ron Logan is not that odd because he was living across a cell phone tower, and a ping does not approximate radius of a location, not a specific one.
It can. Yeah, it can do that. It depends on how many towers are in the area, is I think what you're meaning. So cell phones are my expertise. As long as I have a map, I can figure out anything with anybody and any phone number, as long as I have enough towers. That's the big issue. And like why Idaho 4 has no cell phone evidence guaranteed. I would be blown away if they have any real cell phone evidence, is because they don't have enough towers to have reliable cell phone evidence. I would love to get Ron Logan's.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could get that. That would be interesting. Now, I do have connections, obviously, after a decade and a half in cell phones.
Are Are you a politician? You've been promising for about 3 weeks.
I know, but
I know.
I share it with you to hold myself accountable. So, I've been so far behind on everything.
From hot dog to Dicky work suit, RB does fashion shows and true crime tales of his own.
Yes.
I call
Absolutely.
that multitasking.
Yeah.
Right, that's triangulation, not a ping. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. So I mean, him connecting to, I mean, did he only connect to a single tower?
So a ping can be a triangulation. It's just a ping is a connection to a tower, and how you triangulate is through pings. So they're one and the same. Now, I think what you're referencing is like the ability for there to be false pings, and a ping is just somebody stating on a report that, hey, this cell phone was connected to this tower here. So if there were multiple towers, you're pinging to all of them all the time, and there's no way to not do that. And that's what gives them the data for triangulation. So that's why I was curious how many towers were around him. Is it even possible that they could have triangulated him? I would assume, since they didn't, that there's not. I would assume, since they're only using the term ping, there's only one tower there. But that's just my best guess.
Yeah, but I am assuming, because of what we're talking about and how there's these different sides, okay, of the tower, and with one ping, they could tell he was on that one side, which
120
is
degrees.
a 120 degree angle, that side, okay, like a triangle going outwards from the cell tower as its top center point going out. So they could tell if he was in the direction of his home. They could tell within a certain, like, you know, there's variables, obviously, certain like distances from his home. Like he's in and around this area, but they could not be specific whatsoever.
Yeah.
So they could tell if he was from the tower connecting in the direction of his home, probably, maybe, but not exactly where he is in that area from the tower on that side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not super significant, but it's interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting. And I wish I could. And
we need to look at Brendan has maps. He has resources he can look into to look at how many towers are in that area. Now, do you have a way to tell how many towers were in that area at the time of the crime, though?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So, because that's significant too. They could have built more since then. It's been many years. So,
well, there were also more carriers back then too. There are carriers back then that are no longer around today. So it might be even harder than we think. Yeah.
So speaking of the Vinlanders gang, it's from Cynthia Gaines. If prison guards were wearing odorous patches and had tattoos, can you please remind me what type of tattoos the guards had on their hands? Thanks. We didn't really talk about tattoos on their hands, did we?
I don't think so, but I do think that I know what you're talking about. One of them had one of the tattoos that's like on their thumb right here, and I don't remember what exactly it is. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the odorous patches, I mean,
blew my mind.
I mean, the tattoos are important too. The symbolism is important too.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious. I think they've removed all of that stuff from their Facebooks at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we could find some images.
Well,
still,
what's interesting is once it's on the internet, it can't come off.
Yeah.
Like, period. Ever. Never. So,
yeah,
we should be able to find it.
Yeah.
Using the Wayback.
Yeah. Yeah. We just need the link to their Facebook accounts, which I'm pretty sure we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it looks like we're gonna have to cover Gilgo 4 tomorrow. We'll probably just release that video tomorrow and cover Gilgo and maybe even some more Idaho 4, honestly.
Yeah, because Gilgo,
Because
I
there's
think,
a couple other topics I wanted to touch on.
yeah,
but
the car and some other
Yep.
things. We could talk about those tomorrow.
Yep.
Gilgo, I think, doesn't need to take up a whole stream. I think it could take up like half, and the other half we'll do Idaho 4 and talk about
Yes.
some of the other things that have come out. Because yeah, there was more definitely that we want to talk about.
Yes. Absolutely. It'll be a good one too. Make sure you guys, just side note here, make sure you guys hit that notification button to alert you when we are live. And here's a really cool thing too. We're going to be working on the third set in the studio. So we already have 2, right? For 2 different shows. We got the True Crime Talk Show here. We have our green background that you're seeing on the screen here for our pre-recorded podcast. And we are having a third set built for something different. I'm not sure what it is. Are we going to have a new show? Are we going to add on a new creator under the Thought Riot banner? Are we going to? I don't know. Don't know. Oh my gosh. The Rex Heuermann case is insane, dude. But the FBI did a killer job. Hats off to the FBI and their evidence, because holy cow, that the amount of evidence that is not even questionable against Rex Heuermann. It is phenomenal. It is so in depth. They were going to gather, amazing. They did amazing, and they were going to gather more before arresting him, but they were seeing his behaviors escalate, and they were worried that somebody was going to get picked up. And so they decided to take him then, and the amount of evidence is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah. Hey, Rumsey, we're about to hop off, but yeah, the drama sucked you in.
Yeah. There's always drama, I swear. True crime is like the most drama place ever, and that's one thing Drunk Turkey has been phenomenal about too. And we're taking that path where, you know, we don't want anything to do with any of the drama.
No, it gets in the way.
I'll watch other people's drama, but you know, I really want to. I'm an information hound. I want all the information about every case, and I just don't really have time for that to get in the way of my constant and never-ending information stream, you know.
Yeah, it is very transparent at this point.
Agreed.
You know, there's obviously things they still don't talk about. Like Karen Vergata, they knew who she was for a year, but they are releasing those things, which is important. Obviously, we got to give investigations some time. I know we're all impatient when we're really dedicated to a case, but we do got to give them time to work it out. I think that's important. But because they got to get all the facts together. Oh, Bonnie's looking for some drama.
We'll have to stage some drama between us.
Yeah, we'll address the drama without calling out the specific people. If we see something going on that we feel like we need to address. But there's
not a right way or a wrong way to do things. There's only what's right for us. And other creators out there, you have to do what's right for you. And just because we do one way doesn't mean another way is wrong. Just with the type of person I am, being a salesperson, I don't want to ever put myself in a situation where I need to be verbally aggressive. It usually doesn't go well for me or the other person. So, you know, we just don't. I'd rather stick to the facts here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we addressed that in the beginning of the stream about the interview with Xana's mom on Crime Sleuthins channel. And you know, we have a video that's coming out about it. We're not showing any clips of it or anything. We usually don't when a video's new anyway. But
we suggest people go check it out.
Yeah,
and we showed the video.
Yeah, everybody check it out. You know, we have just some opinions when it comes to drug involvement that we kind of disagree with Xana's mom on.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
We
But
disagree with Steve Gonsalves. We disagree with Xana's mom based on statistical evidence around colleges and drugs and dope and partying, and the insane amount of statistics that say 90% of college kids use substances in their college time while they're there. And it says 1 in 4 students sell or pass on drugs at one time or another during their college stay. So I think that just looking at a crime and saying, hey, there's no way there was drugs involved, I just feel like that. I feel like that's not fair, to do. I feel like that is a biased approach at looking at a crime, and we want to look at every aspect. And that just because we believe one thing, and again, this is one thing I'll say until I'm blue in the face over and over and over again. But just because we believe one thing doesn't invalidate somebody else's belief, But I want to talk about it. I'm a firm believer that we should be able to talk about everything. It's how you talk about it that is the problem. It's how you talk about it that makes it important around tonality, and your approach. You know what I mean? So we thought we did, or I thought I'd do a response to just some of the comments that were made about drugs and the possible drug theory, and that should be coming out this week. So I included some of our links in there, you guys, and we are on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Oh, you know what? I should post the Facebook one too. But we've been severely lacking in these areas of we've been severely lacking in follow-up in these areas. So
and follow up in what areas?
Social media.
Oh, you
Sorry.
mean sharing it?
No. Well, yeah, sharing it, and people who have reached out on there, people who have reached out in the email. I'm just trying really hard to get caught up on everything. And then we'll be back to our normal response time, which is, within a couple days. I just don't want content creators out there who are reaching out to us to do collabs or come on the show, or us go on their show or whatever. I don't want them to feel like we're ignoring them. I would never do that to anybody. Like I said earlier, if there's a show out there and they reached out to us and we didn't feel like it would be a good fit because, say, they're a drama channel or something like that, I would always respond and say, hey, these are the reasons why I don't feel like it would be a good fit, but, love your stuff, whatnot. And we'll respond to everybody.
WSU Mom Kim, hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the channel. This not to point a finger at BK. Ted Bundy killed several women in Idaho and Washington. Perhaps the desirability in this area is being naive as parents and kids, not victim blaming, just question, I guess.
Look, one of the issues around human beings is our ability to not look at all the facts because we want something specific to be true. So yeah, I think there's some worth to what you're saying there. And yes, I think it's very easy. And I have to check my bias every day, you guys. I think one of the most terrifying things out there is bias. I don't, especially being in true crime, I want to be able to look at every single crime objectively and look at every single fact, every single detail, every single everything, and be able to talk about it in a respectful, adult-like way. And the only way to do that is to check myself daily,
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Drunk Turkey. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And you guys, if you haven't checked out Drunk Turkey, check them out. Like I said, they had us on there, and they have information that they got from different people close to the case, and they believe one thing, and I think it is a little bit different from what we currently believe. And the conversation we had was phenomenal. It was great. I walked away having some new insight and what I felt around the case. And I feel like that's what any adult conversation should be like when you guys are trying to go on, or when I'm trying to go on an information investigation type conversation.
Yeah, I mean, what we would have just about anyone hop on stream and talk with us about this. You know, these cases. You know, obviously we don't want to get caught up in drama. So if that's just what it's about, we're not going to talk about that. But if it pertains to the case, I mean, we would talk to anyone. So we're gonna ask the
Absolutely.
questions though. We're gonna ask the questions, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, we just
all questions.
I think, you know, whether or not these kids did drugs, whether or not they did pass on drugs or deal them at any point in their lives, doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't
No.
victim blame. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't do any of that. And I think that one thing that Get a Clue has said that I strongly agree with is sometimes people are tainted by their empathy. And I'm a very empathetic person.
And I'm the opposite.
And you're the opposite. And it helps us balance each other out on this
Yeah.
channel. And I think that it's important. Yeah, no, yeah, be blunt. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate bluntness and forwardness and saying what you really think.
Yeah.
But
Makes it easier.
I respect that. Yeah. But it's not victim blaming. It's just looking at the honest truth. And I don't think anything they could have done could have ever justified this. And I don't think that anybody asking these questions is trying to say that either.
Yeah.
Unless they're saying it's their fault, they're not really victim blaming. They're just asking questions to understand the case better.
Yeah.
You need to know these factors to be able to judge a case. And I'm sure the police, you know, hopefully did look at some of those things. I think that they could have missed some things though.
Yeah.
Some important
I think
things.
it's realistic that that could be the outcome there for sure. So, but don't stop.
Okay.
I do think that's realistic that it could be the outcome. So yeah, I think the only way to analyze that is to talk about every single topic. I really do. So
Yeah.
but I think that is it for the show, guys. We appreciate you, all of you. Tomorrow we will be talking about Idaho 4 and Gilgo 4 and digging into that. I know it's really easy for all of us to get caught up on that Idaho 4 talk, and I love it. I love talking with all of you about that. Make sure you guys check out our social media where we continue to post things that are going on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are everywhere on everything at all times. So check it all out, and we appreciate all of you.
Yeah, and I saw you guys asking questions about like the car and, you know, obviously the interview. We'll dig into more Idaho 4 stuff and pertaining to those things tomorrow after the Gilgo talk. We'll, you know, dedicate half the stream to Gilgo and then half to Idaho 4.
Yeah.
And, you know, come check it out tomorrow, 9 to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be there. We appreciate all of you guys tonight, all of your opinions, all of your input. You know, I think we all so far in this community really do help balance each other out and ask the important questions, and hopefully it helps get down to the truth eventually.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, we appreciate all of you. All of you.
Yeah.
Yes, you right there. So this is the True Crime Talk Show. My name's Brendan.
And I'm Malia.
And we are
have a great night.
out.
Bye.